She now looked at the pill in her hands on the verge of tears. It was great if it was a real pill. If not, doesn't that just mean I drank his pee? Xiaoyu was in a pickle, not knowing what to do. Suddenly an aged voice came, "Judge, no need to eat it. Split the pill and you can discern its grade." Only? What only? Anyways, we'll do it as Grandmaster Lu suggests. Xiaoyu was grasping straws at this point. She gave thanks for his help and split the pill whoosh. Golden mist drifted from within, still containing the roars of dragons. The pill fragrance instantly swept the whole arena with each whiff. The people's soul shuddered, and their yuan qi surging. It was already strong without taking it. How great would it be once it was eaten, then? It was no longer just a third-grade pill. They all waited for Xiaoya's verdict. She was also out of it as she cried, "It's a fifth-grade pill." Her answer caused chaos. What in God's name was that secret skill? How do you make a fifth-grade pill from second-grade pill ingredients? Where did this Grandmaster song come from? Wait. Xiaoya blinked and sported doubt on her face. This pill just dropped a grade. It's now a fourth-grade pill. The people were again shocked. This was too damn odd. We never heard of a pill that drops in grade. Xiaoya then followed with, "It's now third grade, second, first." Xiaoya's voice made the audience's heart skip. Then, Xiaoya took a deep breath, watching everyone perplexed. "I am correct. This pill lost all of its effects." She watched the split pill in her hand. These are only waste. Silent as the grave. None could utter a single sound. A pill could actually have its effect fade, only leaving behind waste. This was too bizarre. The pill wasn't alive, so how could it run away? But even if it was and ran away, there were too many people here for it to get out alive. Grandmaster's song. What is this? Xiaoya spoke with a trembling voice. Zhuo Fan shrugged. "I told you to eat it, but now it's too late." She should have known this punk would mess with her. So she ignored him and looked at the rest of the alchemists. It was only now that vicious pill king withdrew his flame and held a red pill. He sighed. "I didn't think I'd be a step behind, but it still isn't too late." He then threw the pill to Xiaoya. She cried. "As expected of vicious pill king, this is a fourth-grade pill. Your skill is marvelous to refine such a pill with only second-grade pill ingredients." Though she sang praises, her words didn't get the expected reaction from the crowd. They only oohed and ahed, seeing Zhuo Fan's heaven-shaking secret skill. Who would dare utter the words marvelous skill? Even vicious pill king just closes his eyes, striking a lonely figure. What's wrong with everyone? We're not sure what grade of pill Grandmaster Song's pill is. What do you mean unclear? Some may not see, but the top 10 alchemists are clear on that pill's outstanding effect. Lu Yijin cut her off. "Lady, you're too young. You may be enough to judge our pills, but not enough to see the true value of Grandmaster Song's pill." Xiaoya vehemently denied it. She was no Grandmaster, but saw countless pills and judged them all fairly. How can I possibly not be able to judge a stinky kid's pill? But then she saw the top 10 alchemists sporting solemn expressions. Even vicious pill king had to make a nod. Just what is this? Isn't he and Grandmaster Song in a bitter battle? Why is he taking his side? Vicious pill king didn't want to admit Zhuo Fan's ability, but sensed the value of his refining skill. However, was he the only one? If he denied it, he would only earn the others' ridicule. He held the highest ability in alchemy up till now. But now, he didn't even have the right to shame his opponent. After all, Zhuo Fan's skills were indeed incredible. Did I see it correctly? Xie Tianyang blinked. Vicious Pill King just admitted defeat in front of everyone? Is this still Elder Yin, who always cared about his reputation? Chu Qingqing's group was amazed. It wasn't easy squeezing a win from this old coot's mouth. Just where did this fake Sonyu come from? Peony Overseer's eyes flashed. Young Master Xie, you know this fake Sonyu, don't you? I don't think you know him at all, describing him as a murderous demon. He is an alchemist, right? Peony Overseer blushed at the end. Zhuo Fan's recent conduct wasn't exactly stellar. After all, he did something so unrefined, lifting his head in pride. Xie Tianyang snorted. Did I ever say otherwise? I've been through hell with him. Then what is his name? It's But Xie Tianyang caught himself before playing in a peony overseer's game and snickered, "I won't tell you. Just enjoy the show." Peony overseer glared at him with gnashed teeth long. Geo shook his head, but his eyes were filled with admiration for Zhuo Fan. He not only knows of ancient arrays, but an ancient refining skill too? Just who is he? How does he have so many treasures on him? He was but a servant in the Luo clan before. Was it possible that? Chapter 136, Secret Art That Shakes the People. Chapter 136, Secret Art That Shakes the People. In the arena, Xiaoyu was pacing back and forth, her brows locked in deep thought. Many alchemists started turning in their pills, qualifying for the next round. But regarding the first place, she was still uncertain what to do. It was a spot that could only be taken by either Grandmaster Song or Vicious Pill King. While Vicious Pill King's 4th grade pill was held in her hand, Grandmaster Song's pill turned into a waste after cutting it in two. How could she possibly judge this? Despite not being so erudite, the fading pill was a 5th grade pill. But why did it drop grades? What was up with that? Without getting to the bottom of it, she couldn't make a call. If she put Grandmaster Song in first place, she wouldn't know how to explain if the need arose. Putting Vicious Pill King first would earn the scorn of the top 10 alchemists, as if saying this lady was too green and unable to see the pill's secret. What vexed her most was Vicious Pill King also looked at her the same. She was thoroughly stuck. This was her first time in all her years of judging that she encountered such a problem. She could only turn to Lu Yijin, pleading for guidance. She found him the most amiable among the top 10 grandmasters. As for Zhuo Fan and Vicious Pill King, one smug, the other an iceberg, it was best to ignore them. Meanwhile, she avoided asking Aunt Tao or Yin Fu as they might play favorites. "Grandmaster Lu, could you please explain to me what is so great about Grandmaster Song's pill?" Lu Yijin bowed to Zhuo Fan first. It was a gesture of respect to seniors among alchemists. Lu Yijin was among the 10 best alchemists in the empire. Yet, he has never bowed. Even a Vicious Pill King, he was convinced Zhuo Fan's refining skill was a cut above everyone here. He was on another level. This bow made everyone drop their jaws. Even the amateur alchemists. They knew Zhuo Fan was amazing, but not this much. Until Lu Yijin, a grandmaster, bowed to him. As a junior, Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow, not expecting the old guy to disregard his own reputation, and nodded. This nod had another meaning among alchemists. Secret skills were passed down through the generations, never divulged. If someone guessed some points about a pill, they could not speak without the owner's explicit accord. It would be a gross form of disrespect, cutting all ties at best, or fighting to the death at worst. Lu Yijin bowed in respect, and Zhuo Fan nodded his assent. Lu Yijin smiled. "Young miss, Grandmaster Song's skill is beyond amazing. Did you know that Grandmaster Song's secret refining skill is the legendary long-lost skill, Sacred Dragon Evocation?" "What? Ancient secret skill?" The people froze in shock. Even Long Jio's group, as well as Huang Pu Qingyun's, they all went slack-jawed. The ancient refining skill had been lost for so long they became legends. It was inconceivable how such a legendary skill would appear in the hands of youth. The people started to get excited. Watching with shining eyes, Xiao Yu looked at Zhuo Fan incredulously. She found him too young at first, but now he could compete with Vicious Pill King and make everyone speechless. But it went far beyond that. He used an ancient secret refining skill, one long lost in legends. That was why the proud Vicious Pill King conceded. Who could contest with an alchemist that used an ancient secret refining skill? But Grandmaster Lu, why did Grandmaster Song's pill turn to waste like this? Xiaoya bit her lip and rushed to ask for an answer, shaking his head. Lu Yijin showed great veneration. This is exactly what made Grandmaster Song's pill so miraculous. It wasn't fading, but used by all of us instead. What? His words sent ripples of shock through the audience. Lu Yijin continued. A normal pill, regardless of grade, could only use 50% of its ingredients' effect. But the ancient secret skill, Sacred Dragon Call, was said to make use of everything they had. Everything was refined. Once eaten, it would immediately dissolve. That golden mist coming from the pill was its true essence. If someone swallowed it, it was the same as a 5th grade pill. but it was instead dispersed to the surrounding, and everyone else benefited from it. Now it has been used up, it is no different than leftover material. This is why I immediately felt deep regret when I said you could split the pill. I see. I now understand why I felt so energized after breathing in the pill's aroma. They all agreed and looked at Zhuo Fan with admiration. Grandmaster Liu, why did the grade drop? Xiaoya asked her most pressing question. This had to do with judging who was in first place. Liu Yizhen's face froze and shook his head awkwardly. Ha ha ha, I'm not sure either. I have only read some records regarding this ancient secret refining skill. The only one who knows its secrets is only Grandmaster Song. Whoosh! In a blink, eyes whipped to Zhuo Fan. Xiaoyu was no different. Zhuo Fan raised his eyebrows and grinned evilly. Want to know? But I won't tell you unless you beg for it. You. Xiaoyu glared with hatred at him. She may have been disrespectful, but not enough to condone such constant mockery. But that's how petty Zhuo Fan was. He looked askance, clearly meaning to evoke others to know his thoughts. On your knees and beg for it, or yours truly won't say a word. I already displayed my skill and earned my right as the first place. Now you want me to share my secrets with the whole crowd? His attitude allowed others to understand the reason. So, even if they were in the drifting flowers edifice, they lifted their fists, beg, beg, beg. The crowd roared with mighty force, shaking the entire drifting flowers arena. Huangpu, Qingyun's mood darkened. He didn't think Zhuo Fan had such skill to turn this around and grasp everyone's hearts. This was the way of a ruler. This man must not be allowed to live. Huangpu Qingyun glared with hatred. His followers nodded. Liu Yizhen didn't think much of the scene and only shook his head. Grandmaster Song is such a prankster. Ha ha ha. With the hall shouting beg, Xiaoyu was on the verge of tears. While Zhuo Fan just leaned on the cauldron impassive, it seemed he'd only give up after she kneeled helpless. Xiaoya's tears flowed, and her slender legs began to buckle, but an angry roar came from the terrace. Songyu, stop playing around. Zhuo Fan was startled and looked at the angry Chu Qingcheng. With a helpless smile, he relented in her favor and shook his hand at Xiaoya. Whatever, it was only a joke. You take me for such a heartless man? I do. Xiaoya didn't dare say it. However, she gave a look of thanks towards Chu Qingcheng. As to why yours truly used this secret skill, you have Vicious Pill King to thank for that. He was so careless in spilling some green python scale mixture after all. Now that Xiaoyu was off the hook, Zhuo Fan started explaining. But the first thing he did was drag Vicious Pill King into this. The crowd had become calmed, listening enraptured to Grandmaster Song's lecture of his skill. Grandmaster Song is still blaming me for my inadvertent mistake? Vicious Pill King squinted, shaking his hand. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Why, I would never. I'm only thanking you. Sacred Dragon Evocation has the dragon word in it and had to have an ingredient related to dragons. The Yang pill had no such ingredient. Meanwhile, a snake was, for all intents and purposes, can be considered a small dragon. Your mistake granted me the liberty to use this secret art. But the snake is Een, while the Yang pill only had Yang ingredients. And Grandmaster Song's Yang Dragon pill is also Yang. I did not sense any Een inside. Vicious Pill King's eyelid twitched, clenching his fists, snickering. Zhuo Fan mocked. You think the likes of you can unravel the mysteries of an ancient secret skill? Een and Yang restrain each other, but can also interchange. To evoke the Yang out of this Een green python scale extract, I had to rely on yours truly's essence to wash it down with additional incentive. Holding his belly, Zhuo Fan laughed out. Pee is water, and water is Een. But a virgin is pure Yang. Yours truly used his pure Yang pee to change Een into Yang, to turn a snake into a dragon. Not only has the ingredients been refined completely, but there was also the extreme Yang dragon power. This allowed the second grade pill to rise to the 5th grade. A pity that once the pill is split, the pill's effect starts to leak along with the dragon power, lowering its grade and potency. Now everyone understood and looked at Zhuo Fan with a greater admiration for his secret refining skill. Vicious Pill King was no different, clapping his hands with force, fully admitting defeat in his heart. Grandmaster Song is unparalleled in his refining skill. I concede this round to you without remorse. However, Grandmaster Song, you're at a disadvantage. The next round is mine. Vicious Pill King's eyes flickered with killing intent. Zhua Fan grinned the two locked eyes, and even a blind man could see they were at odds. Tao Danyang was moved. It caught her by surprise. The fact that Zhua Fan could make Vicious Pill King admit his loss's future was boundless. Then she started worrying. Vicious Pill King's last words pointed at Zhua Fan's weaker cultivation. Even with Zhua Fan's unparalleled refining skill, he could not beat Vicious Pill King helpless. Tao Danyang was thinking on how to settle this and not let such a great youth fall here. It was only now that Xiaoyu spoke after having made her decision. In this round, 39 passed and 11 forfeited. The first place stays with Grandmaster Song. The second place is Vicious Pill King's. Her words traveled far, and the crowd began to wonder why so many people withdrew. They had no way to know that many felt inferior after they witnessed Zhua's refining skill. Their confidence was in shambles. If an alchemist had no confidence, how could they refine? Chapter 137, Zhua Fan's Weakness. Chapter 137, Zhua Fan's Weakness. Wonderful. We won another round. Peony Overseer cried in joy. The other two women were also sporting smiles. Song Yu was a fake, but his refining skill couldn't be more genuine. If it weren't for him, Vicious Pill King would have been in the lead. If things continue like this, the best alchemist in the empire would finally be defeated. Dong Tianba saw them, so excited and hesitated to speak. Edifice Lord Chu, I may be presumptuous, but I'm certain that man is not Brother Song Yu. To be blunt, me and Brother Song Yu are very close. There's no way he's a virgin. So what if he isn't Song Yu? It was Xiao Dandan who spoke in his defense. No matter who he is, he will always be my darling. Chu Qingcheng and the overseers nodded. Chu Qingcheng smiled. Dong Tianba, his killing intent must have scared you, to the point where you did not manage to hear our conversation. Young Master Xia already stated that that man is a friend of his and not Song Yu. Then what happened to Brother Song Yu? Isn't it obvious? He killed him. Why else would he dare take his face and run around the place? Xie Tianyang laughed, patting Dong Tianba's shoulder, then admired Chu Qingcheng. Great sister-in-law knows how to handle her husband well. I will rely on you in the future to get this brat to fall in line. Don't ever let him harm others, especially me. Chu Qingcheng blushed and hid it with anger. Young Master Xie, what nonsense are you saying? Nothing in particular. Xie Tianyang blinked as he stated in all seriousness. That brat is petty and spiteful. If someone punched him, he replies with 10 slashes of the sword. But your earlier words restricted his nefarious temper. Great sister-in-law is highly valued in his heart. Perhaps only you can curb his murderous streak and also appreciate him more. Chu Qingqing's blush was fierce and demurely nodded, but her heart was overjoyed. Is he that frightening? Chu Qingcheng muttered frowning. Xie Tianyang looked at Long Jiao and the rest. Then they all nodded. They all held fear in their eyes. No exception sighing. Chu Qingcheng smiled broadly. If such a terrifying man changed for her, that meant his feelings for her were real. My ideal husband is like Qing Tian, a dashing hero willing to risk his life for me. Today I have found him. Chu Qingcheng watched Zhua Fan with a warmer gaze, her feelings for him growing ever more. Boom! In the western stand, Huangpu Qingyun banged the table. The heavily cracked stone table turned to dust. The others by his side jumped in fear and reeled a step. The second round is another failure. An elder Yin even admitted defeat. Tell me, does he have any chance of getting the Bodhi root and that punk's head on a platter? Huangpu Qingyun's eyes were chilling to the bone. None made a peep. Lin Zitian's eyes shifted. This is a perfect chance to kiss some ass. He advised, Second young master, please quell your anger. Elder Yin is known as the Vicious Pill King, the best alchemist in the empire. A slight oversight, causing him to lose 2 rounds, is of no consequence. Believe in him, as he is sure to have a plan. Lin Zitian's words were more or less the same as Fifth Elder's. Shoving the blame on Yin Song regardless of the outcome, too bad. This time was different. Huangpu Qingyun's eyebrows trembled, trying his hardest to calm himself. Oh? Since Elder Lin believes Elder Yin so much, then I will hold you responsible if he fails. What that? Lin Ziqian was dumbstruck. Why aren't you treating me the same as you were to the fifth elder? Watching the scene play out, the fifth elder was now laughing and mocking him. Lin Ziqian is an opportunist, but has no ass-kissing techniques. Copying me is not helpful at all and will be detrimental instead. Playing the same flattery won't work. Huangpu Qingyun valued Yin Song greatly before. Therefore, raising Yin Song in esteem worked then. But now that he failed a second time, Huangpu Qingyun's thoughts on Yin Song have changed. He is pissed at Elder Yan's inability to do anything. Praising him now would only set Huangpu Qingyun off in directing his anger onto you. Fawning is also a skill, so, as an opportunist, you better start practicing it. Fifth elder cackled in his heart, while Lin Ziqian was on the verge of crying. What bad luck. I always... Ding! A clear ringing signaled the start of the third round. Xiaoya looked at the 40 alchemists. This round will be regarding your refining ability. At her words, everyone focused on the first place. On Zhuofan, they witnessed his ability and were clear that Grandmaster Song ruled in the refining skill department one man's side. Another watched the sky in sadness, both equally depressed for having no chance to win. Only the top 10 alchemists kept a calm face. They knew that alchemy was based on refining skills, but it was not the only deciding factor to make a pill after 2 rounds. They realized the conditions were increasingly harder to fulfill. As the grade of the pills required increased, Zhuofan began to reveal his weakness. This was what they've been waiting for. Zhuofan was indeed a grand genius of alchemy, but wasn't infallible. He could not use his refining skill and refine any kind of pill he wanted. In this round, Grandmasters need to refine a 5th grade pill. Xiaoyu declared. Zhuofan began to frown, while the top 10 alchemists expected it. Vicious Pill King, in particular, showed his sinister smile toward Zhuofan. The faster you can make it, the higher you will climb. The first to finish will enter the Pill King finals of this competition. Begin. They started igniting their Yuan Qi flame just as she finished. Most had no choice but to make use of the cauldron. But only Vicious Pill King and Tao Danyang refined with their hand. These 2 skills were far higher than theirs, but when people looked at Zhuofan, they saw him just standing there. Even his expression was grave. Oh no, he's in trouble. Long Jiu was getting anxious. The others too watched him nervously. Peony Overseer, with a fiery temper, was even more so. Uncle Jiu, what's wrong? Wasn't he unparalleled so far? Why isn't he moving? Long Jiu stared at the frozen Zhuofan and sighed. Because of this brat's weakness. Weakness? Yes. Long Jiu spoke gravely. He won in the first 2 rounds against everyone and even made Vicious Pill King concede because of his incredible secret refining skill. There are 3 deciding factors to an alchemist's level: cultivation, flame, and refining skill. Cultivation is used to supply the flame for longer periods of time. The flame is for refining ingredients, and the refining skill needs to be high enough to handle high-grade pills. But Long Jiu clenched his teeth. This kid's refining skill is amazing. However, that is all he has. His flame is just a normal one made from Yuan Qi. But what's worse, his cultivation is only in the 2nd layer of bone tempering stage. Any alchemist with this cultivation could refine a 3rd grade pill at most. Yet he used 2nd grade pill ingredients to make a 5th grade pill. That is his limit. Now that he is competing against the other grandmasters, with 5th grade pill ingredients being used, his flame is inadequate. Meanwhile, his cultivation is shallow. I am certain he will not be able to refine the ingredients before his Yuan Qi runs out. Refining such high-grade ingredients is a whole other matter. The shock was palpable, and they turned to watch Zhuofan on his last leg, but this time with sorrow. Master, if Darling loses, will he lose his head too? Please save him. Xiao Dandan pleaded. Long Jiu and the others weren't worried, though. Zhuofan wasn't one who lost his head that easily. It was more correct to say others lost their heads to him, even in the off chance he lost. He'd just stick to the basics, killing people and uprooting their any source of trouble. In their minds, he was in no trouble they did not realize, however, how important this competition was to Zhuo Fan. He couldn't fail here. It concerned returning Chu Qingqing's favor. The Luo clan was already running him into the ground with all its needs, and having Chu Qingqing's drifting flowers edifice hanging overhead was too much for him to handle. Zhuo Fan was now considering whether to use the azure flame or not. Chapter 138, Failure. Chapter 138, Failure. The mysterious azure flame was what Zhuo Fan had got from the expert in All Beast Mountain Range. His low cultivation didn't allow control over even 1,000th of its power, but one thing was certain. This azure flame was a legendary flame even in the sacred domain. So 1,000th was enough to refine a high-grade pill, however. Taking a deep breath, Zhuo Fan watched the top 10 alchemists hard at work. Vicious Pill King, his disciple, and Tao Danyang were the only ones relaxed. They had to have a card up their sleeve to use at the right moment in the finals. Meanwhile, the azure flame was Zhuo Fan's hidden trump card. Taking it out so soon would get Vicious Pill King to target him. Best leave it for last. That left him with only one choice, though somewhat volatile. Zhuo Fan sighed and made his move under the riveted eyes of the audience. They wanted to see what shocking achievement this amazing genius with a secret refining skill would give them next. Yet Zhuo Fan simply ignited a red yuan qi flame in his palm and threw 5th-grade ingredients in using hand signs without the godly secret refining skill. And without using the same refining ability he started with in the second round, the ingredients. Refinement seemed to go nowhere fast. Zhuo Fan's display was so plain because the flame he was using was even weaker than all other alchemists. Those 5th-grade ingredients in that weak flame got refined at snail's pace, needing a long time for even a drop to be extracted compared to earlier show of force. Zhuo Fan's refining time was not only average, but even lackluster. As if all other alchemists' refining ability here looked far better than his, such disparity disappointed everyone. They saw the greatest talent in alchemy climb to the top, only to fall back into the mud. The top 10 alchemists watched on with regret and helplessness, but mostly with content. This punk's weakness is finally revealed in the third round. Among the snickers, Zhuo Fan's figure standing in the first spot looked quite bleak, as if to correlate his inability this round. His smugness was nowhere to be seen. Xiao Yu was a bit curious, speaking somewhat without meaning to. What is wrong with Grandmaster Song in this round? He isn't himself anymore. That's normal. Vicious Pill King took pleasure at his plight. His refining ability had reached his peak and can go no further. Xiaoya asked skeptically, Elder Yan, what do you mean? The other alchemist started letting out a carefree laughter. What I mean is that he can only refine low-grade pills. Still not understanding. Vicious Pill King was quite patient and enjoyed explaining this to her. In alchemy, flames are divided into gentle and fierce flames. Common ingredients for low-grade pills use the gentle flame. Otherwise, the fierce flame will burn them. And when refining high-grade ingredients, the gentle flame falls short, but this punk's cultivation is too low to control the fierce flame. He has no way to refine 5th-grade ingredients. Vicious Pill King snickered, then mocked Zhuo Fan. This is your weakness. Am I right, brat? Ignoring him, Zhuo Fan was still as patient as he was calm, focused on his refining. But how did Grandmaster Song refine the 5th-grade Yang Dragon pill? Shaking his head, Vicious Pill King derided. It was made with 2nd-grade ingredients, forcefully refined, then turned into a 5th-grade pill. It is not a true 5th-grade pill. But even I must admit, that refining skill is indeed legendary. If he were to refine 5th-grade ingredients, he could make a 7th-grade pill. What a shame. The people looked on with lament at his words. Their hearts were filled with the odd sense of grief when they gazed upon the lonely yet persevering figure. No one knew when, but for the thousands of alchemists around watching, Zhuo Fan caught all their attention. The shock Zhuo Fan's secret refining skill instilled was far too great. With how lonely he looked now, he made others feel sad. Vicious Pill King, however, couldn't be more chipper, casting stones at the helpless, kicking him when he was down. This earned the public's distaste. Grandmaster Song, you can do it. We're cheering for you. At some point, someone cried out in encouragement. After one, many soon followed, and cheers broke out everywhere. Grandmaster Song, you're the greatest. Grandmaster Song, we love you. Grandmaster Song, I want your babies. The entire Drifting Flowers arena was aboil. Tianyang and his group were dumbstruck by the waves after waves of cheering. This punk made one pill and now has everyone siding with him? There was even one saying she wants his babies. What does he have that I, the Grand Sword Marquise, abodes young master, don't? Turning around, Zhuofan gave a small wave and the crowd settled. Not even 7 houses' elders had such a sway over the masses. Thank you all for your support. Zhuofan's face was solemn, his words sincere. I hail from a third-rate clan and have already shown everything that I've learned so that I may die without regrets. On the path of alchemy, what we refine is our hearts. And my heart wants is to be the best. I only ask that you watch my final refining and honor my parting. With his final word, Zhuofan returned to work hard on his refining, the difficult 5th-grade ingredients. But the heaven-toppling pill written on his cloak had everyone in tears. He was no mere genius of alchemy, but a man who pledged himself to alchemy. A hero with a noble pursuit, he was not like Vicious Pill King and the others, making use of vile acts while refining. No, his heart was being refined to be the best in the world. It was a pure and grand heart of gold. You are so modest, Grandmaster Song. Please receive this salute from us. The eliminated alchemists watched the persevering Zhuofan, despite knowing he'd fail. Their heart was filled with admiration, especially those who forfeited on the eastern stand. Huangpu, Qingyun laughed, unrestrained. No matter how much sympathy he'd garner, his life was through. As far as the 7 houses were concerned, would these third-rate clans dare rebel against Regent Estate, the strongest of the 7 houses? On the terrace, Chu Qingsheng and the overseers knew he was a fake, but their eyes reddened still. Zhuofan's grieved figure, like a tragic hero, touched a soft spot in their womanly hearts. Xiao Dandan was bawling her lungs out, taking Zhuofan's words as a eulogy to himself. Tianyang curled his lip in helplessness. He's good, faking again. However, he should avoid faking it like before, allowing someone else to trip him up while he does it. This brat is shrewd. How can he fall for the same trick twice? Long Jio shook his head. The way I see it, he has something big planned. If not, he would not change tunes so quickly. What plan? Rubbing her red eyes, Long Kuei sniffed. This brat is so evil. If he's not making people angry, he's making them cry. Long Jio was out of sorts. Little Kuei, don't you also understand that he is acting? Why are you also crying? Long Kuei complained. I was too engrossed. Staggering, Long Jio and Xie Tanyang laughed bitterly and wiped the cold sweat off their brows. Women. In the arena, Vicious Pill King had finished refining the ingredients and was beginning to combine them. The other alchemists were also halfway done with refining, but Zhuofan's refining hadn't even passed 20%. Vicious Pill King saw it and mocked. Punk, it's pointless to grasp the heart of the public. Even if you stir those trash into saving you, they have no power. Just wait patiently for me to climb onto the first spot and take your head. I wouldn't speak so soon if I were you. Zhuofan raised an eyebrow, then gestured at the slowly refined ingredients. Universe palm. With a muffled sound, light smoke started drifting from his hand. Vicious Pill King laughed. Ha! Killing the fire before the ingredients finished refining will destroy them. You should work hard even if you lose. Or is this your last act before dying? Zhuofan ignored his yapping. He was nervous inside, his attention riveted to his slowly opening fist. A pity that what greeted him was ashes and not a complete pill. Failure. Zhuofan's heart sank and looked at Vicious Pill King. His concoction has melded. The only thing that is left is to shape it into a pill. If this went on, the third round's first place would be his. Taking a deep breath, Zhuofan's eyes flashed coldly and his mouth perked into an evil grin. Old fart. You dared play tricks on yours truly before. This time I will return it tenfold. Chapter 139, Payback. Chapter 139, Payback. Heavens, what's going on? Grandmaster Song, who brought a failed batch of refining last time, has lost for the first time in 3 rounds. Is Elder Yan's deduction correct? Can Grandmaster Song really not make a 5th grade pill? Fan opened his fist and showed the black ash. Xiaoyu even cried. She couldn't get to speak as a sharp glare landed on her shivering. Xiaoyu watched through his eyes in fear and closed her mouth. But her cry was already loud enough, and everyone heard it. People started to feel uneasy and watched Fan with worry. Those high on the terrace were even more nervous. Since the start of the 100-pill meeting, Vicious Pill King had been stifled, especially the arrogant air that surrounds him. This is all because of Fan. If Fan lost, then who would be Vicious Pill King's match? Tao Danyang? Haha, she was quite a renowned 6th grade alchemist. But Vicious Pill King never took her seriously. Everyone knew Fan's secret ancient skill, and his talent had placed the Vicious Pill King on the 2nd spot. If Fan was gone, he would once again be the best in the empire. The people now looked on at Fan with hope. Even those who came only to bring some good alchemists back to their clans couldn't keep calm and looked towards Fan. It was a disastrous loss for a young genius alchemist to lose the competition, lose his life, all because of his low cultivation. But this was the reality. After his first failure, Fan froze ashen on the spot. It felt like an unimaginable blow and sank into despair. Ah, what a pitiful child. Many women started shedding tears. Vicious Pill King was snorting, no longer paying this despairing loser any more of his time. Focusing on his own pill, the Yuan Qi flame in his hand burned hotter, and the concoction was slowly taking the form of a pill. It wouldn't be long before Vicious Pill King finished. Meanwhile, Tao Danyang was getting nervous, trying to rush things, but her ingredients had only just finished being refined and didn't have enough time to catch up to Vicious Pill King, who was close to finishing. This was a time of crisis. Chu Qingqing's group was also nervous, shifting their gazes from the depressed Fan to Tao Danyang and Vicious Pill King, watching them with clenched fists and sweating in anxiety. Haha, I win. The 3rd round's first place is mine, and so is the punk's head. Just as Tao Danyang's pill took a tentative form, Vicious Pill King laughed among the flames. In Vicious Pill King's hand, a lustrous pill appeared. The completion was now imminent. No one could stop him from being the next Pill King. Humph, you're hundreds of years too early if you think you can best me. Vicious Pill King roared in glee. It wasn't easy. That punk had pushed me back the last 2 rounds, but now I can show off my skill. The closer the pill was to finishing, the more outrageous Vicious Pill King's smile became. He was more glad now than when he made his first 7th grade pill. Huangpu Qingyun was also nodding in satisfaction. Tao Danyang clenched her teeth in regret, and Chu Qingqing's group was filled with hatred. Everything had turned to dust and impossible to come back from. Vicious Pill King would become the winner of the 3rd round and was one step closer to earning Drifting Flowers Edifice's Bodhi root. No one could stop him now. Drifting Flowers Edifice would fall at this moment. Achoo! A sudden and violent sneeze echoed around, and the fire in Vicious Pill King's hand exploded. Vicious Pill King lost focus for a moment, and his beard and eyebrows burned alongside the pill to ashes. Oh, this shocked the crowd silly, looking at each other in a daze. Why'd it blow up all of a sudden? The best alchemist in the empire wouldn't make such a mistake. Trembling, Vicious Pill King's body froze. He turned his head. With a face so livid, an explosion was about to occur, and where was he looking at? It was nowhere else but at Fan. The others also looked to find in shock that the depressed Fan was no more, back to his usual self, and sporting an extra sly grin. Below his nose there were 2 trails of green snot dangling. SSS. He sniffed the green snot back in, and Fan smiled as he rubbed his nose in apology. Ha! Do forgive me, Elder Yin. I must have caught a cold. Everyone's eyes bugged out. Their faces twitched and couldn't figure out if they should cry or laugh. Grandmaster Song, your excuse is beyond lame. Even worse than Vicious Pill King's. Since when do cultivators catch colds? After Qi condensation stage, no minor disease works all right. Plus, you're in the bone-tempering stage for crying out loud. If you want to pay back, then do it. No one's stopping you. But do everyone a favor and pick a better excuse next time. Do you think we're 3-year-olds? Everyone could see it. Not to mention, Zhuo Fan particularly targeted Vicious Pill King to become the victim of the explosion. Vicious Pill King was so angry he was about to lose his mind. He was only a blink away from finishing his 5th grade pill and winning. But at this critical juncture, Zhuo Fan played a trick on him and made all his effort go out in smoke. It was the same as looking 5 decades for the treasure of his dreams. And just when he reached for it, someone pounded it with a hammer. Such pain was enough to make even his heart cry. P-Punk, I will kill you. Vicious Pill King's shaking was obvious to anyone with eyes. He was pushing the anger back, though he didn't manage to hold everything in as a shout released his mighty power, causing the flames of other alchemists to sway backed by incredible pressure. Vicious Pill King struck a palm toward Zhuo Fan. Yet Zhuo Fan stood there smiling like everything was normal in the world. Whoosh. A silk ribbon flew that locked Vicious Pill King's palm in place. Chu Qingqing's figure stood next to Zhuo Fan and pulled on the ribbon to divert Vicious Pill King's attack. Elder Yin, this is the 100-pill meeting of Drifting Flowers Edifice. If you want to cause trouble, please leave. Chu Qingqing glared, gnashing his teeth. Vicious Pill King stared at Zhuo behind Chu Qingqing and knew it wouldn't be easy to attack now. He pointed at Zhuo Fan and rebuked. Edifice Lord Chu, it's not me who started it. This punk broke the rules and disturbed my refining first. When did I disturb you? Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. Not backing an inch, snorting, Vicious Pill King pointed at the crowd. Everyone saw you. My pill was almost finished, and your sneeze ruined everything. A mishap. Zhuo Fan smiled. Didn't I say already? I caught a cold. Cut the crap. Can a bone-tempering cultivator even catch a cold? You cut it. A 7th-grade alchemist can splash his mixture, but yours truly can't catch a cold? Zhuo Fan bit back. At every turn, Vicious Pill King stammered for a while, tongue-tied. He was waiting for this. In any case, there was no way a bone-tempering cultivator could catch a cold, nor a 7th-grade alchemist could splash his concoction, since he used such an excuse before. Then this brat could use it too. Vicious Pill King hated himself for being such a blabbermouth. He only had to use that old brain of his more and think of a better excuse and get the upper hand. However, now, this punk had ruined everything with but a sneeze. Worse, there was no way to refute it. Taking deep breaths, Vicious Pill King calmed down with much difficulty. His green eyes flashed with hatred at Zhuo Fan. You sure have gal, punk. Your snot was too damn precise. It chose the perfect timing to land on my pill and ruin it at the last moment. If the fire was still at the strongest, then your snot would have been burnt instead of landing in the crack of the pill and making it explode. Ha ha ha. What a genius. You were so precise in his sneezing that I have to admire you. Vicious Pill King's killing intent grew as sarcasm dripped from his tone. But Zhuo Fan took it in stride. You're far too kind. It's because we are the very best. Great minds think alike, you know. Just look. You are Vicious Pill King, and I am Heaven-toppling Pill. You splashed some of your concoction, and I caught. Don't you goddamn dare say you caught a cold. Vicious Pill King cut him off in anger. I don't want to hear it. So he turned around, going back to his spot to begin a new refinement. Zhuo Fan shrugged. Chu Qingqing saw Vicious Pill King go and sighed, knowing that trouble had been averted. With most of their power in this old coot's hands, and in Regent Estate's favor, falling out now would mean their loss. Thankfully, he still cared about his face and didn't want the world to know how despicable the Pill King Hall was. Quickly defusing this situation before matters blew out of proportions. Otherwise, Chu Qingqing turned Zhuo Fan and spoke so only the two of them heard. Dear, can you tell me who you are? Chapter 140, The Shocking Universe Poem. Chapter 140, The Shocking Universe Poem. A shiver went through Zhuo Fan as he looked at her. Why you? How did you know? How could I not? Chu Qingqing smiled and reproached. Dear, I'm waiting for your honest answer. Jay, just don't shout, all right? Edifice Lord Chu. It's all just a misunderstanding. I really didn't know this was what you meant at the time. Zhuo Fan was waving his hands frantically, then caught Vicious Pill King beginning his second refining and was getting nervous. We will talk about this later. After I kicked this old coot out, he started to run as soon as he finished speaking. Chu Qingsheng was startled and was more disappointed than bewildered. It wasn't narcissistic of her, when she always thought that her character and appearance were outstanding. She saw with her own eyes how 99% of the men who looked at her had dirty thoughts, and even those exceptions would at least talk to her like normal human beings. But none went as far as to run away. Zhuo Fan ran as if a crone was out to get him. She couldn't help but feel angry. Why is this brat so different as compared to other men? Others will try to act like gentlemen on such occasions, eloquent, and smooth-talk me into doing what they want. Well, I guess those men normally pluck the flowers of hundreds of women already. Meanwhile, this guy is still a virgin. Chu Qingqing's blushed, admonishing herself. Just what am I thinking? But she had no way of knowing what was truly on Zhuo Fan's mind. He ran because he once climbed to the demonic emperor position. He knew full well that righteousness and women were the biggest dead weights in a man's pursuit for power. He wanted to regain his demon emperor power, to rise above and beyond. And to do that, he had to cast aside such weights. Chu Qingsheng didn't return to the terrace. She stood there, watching the only man who moved her heart running towards his first place spot. Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan only had a thirst for victory in his eyes, tacking a side glance as his returned archenemy, Vicious Pill King, now that he got his anger more or less under control, smiled wickedly. Brat, why did you even return? To make pills, of course. Zhuo Fan sighed inside. Vicious Pill King is the best in the empire after all. He recovered his calm after just a few breaths. Few people were capable of such a feat. Making pills? More like you came here to bother me. You overestimate me. How could I possibly dare to mess with you? Zhuo Fan snickered, shaking his head. Vicious Pill King was refining his ingredients with one hand while he grinned. If not to mess around, then what other point is there? With your snail-paced speed, there's no hope you can win. So, that's why you thought I came to mess around. Zhuo Fan was quite calm. Vicious Pill King eyed him with contempt. Ha ha ha. If this was your plan all along, it may not have been half bad. Stopping me from making a 5th-grade pill would get that Tao Danyang to finish first. Too bad. You were too conceited and spoke that nonsense about letting anyone who took first get your head. Wouldn't that also apply to Tao Danyang? Startled, the people's hearts grew nervous indeed. In this competition, only Zhuo Fan couldn't afford to lose. Once he fell from the top, his head would fall with him. Ha ha ha. I will enjoy killing you just as if I was the one who won. You think Tao Danyang can stop me? Vicious Pill King cackled, finally venting and releasing his anger. Chu Qingsheng frowned in worry for Zhuo Fan with a hint of reproach in her eyes. Be as insufferable as you want, but within limits. This old guy has leverage and will have your head. Yet, this is just how Qing Tian would have acted. Chu Qingsheng watched on with love and hatred. Was she going to lose her loved one a second time? Tao Danyang was close to finishing when she heard this. Her hand trembled and the process stopped. Old hag, go on then. If you won't finish, someone else will. Zhuo Fan turned from her to Vicious Pill King, and his eyes grew colder. Old coot, I told you. I will never leave this spot, and no one can take it from me. Not you, not anyone. Zhuo Fan's hand suddenly ignited into a raging fire and gestured for tins of ingredients to fly inside. Watching the flame, it was no different from Vicious Pill King's or the other profound heaven experts' Yuan Qi flame. But after one breath, Zhuo Fan was sweating. Vicious Pill King laughed even harder. You little prick, your cultivation is not nearly enough to sustain such a strong flame. You're looking to die if you keep this up. Humph, narrow-minded old goat. Yours truly will show you the difference between us. Zhuo Fan shouted and slapped the burning hand with a bang. The flame burned twice as strong and consumed all of Zhuo Fan's Yuan Qi in an instant. At this moment, Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed and his burning hand made a fist. The fire and the ingredients were all now squeezed inside in one blink. The towering flame had vanished in a thin air. Only Fan held his fist tightly. It was bright red, and billowing smoke leaked from between his fingers. This whole process of putting the ingredients inside the flame and closing his fist took a few short breaths. Many didn't even catch him doing it, scratching their heads. Many looked at each other lost. Not understanding what was going on, Vicious Pill King stared fixed at the fist and laughed. I was wondering what you're planning. But it's the same as before. Isn't it destroying all ingredients again? With ragged breath and ashen-faced, Fan collapsed from exhaustion. But his smile turned unprecedentedly wicked. It seemed to convey endless confidence. Old coot, I may have done the same, but the result isn't. Taunting Vicious Pill King with his eyes, Fan pumped his fist and then opened it. Everyone, the refining of a fifth-grade pill is now complete. Fan's shout resounded throughout the hall, and a golden pill gleaming brilliantly spun around in his palm, the soothing fragrance. The luster, they all confirmed that it was indeed a fifth-grade pill in an instant. The audience devolved into chaos. Just what did Grandmaster Song do? How did he suddenly refine a pill? The top 10 alchemists closest to Fan cried incessantly. That's impossible. They saw most clearly how Fan turned a batch of ingredients into a pill in an instant. But this was also why they just couldn't believe it and couldn't accept it. They not only never seen such a godly refining skill, but did not even catch a rumor of it. Lu Yijin watched Fan in a daze, almost forgetting about his own task. His brain froze. He didn't understand ancient refining skills, but read records of them. Yet none of them held any reference that might allude to what this heaven-defying skill was. He made a fifth-grade pill just by closing his fist? If refining is that easy, what pride would the alchemists of today have? A pill taking 2 hours to make just took seconds in your fist. On the terrace, Longjio and the rest were dumbfounded. How was this alchemy? It was clearly pulling something out of thin air. This refining skill was too goddamned insane. It was no different from swindling. On the eastern terrace, Huangpu Qingyun and his men were dumbstruck as well to this brat. Huangpu Qingyun was so surprised he could barely speak. His men didn't fare any better. The only eyes not looking at the pill was Fan, who was holding it, swallowing hard. Fan waved the pill before the flabbergasted Vicious Pill King. Old coot, ever heard of Universe Palm? Vicious Pill King blinked hard and swirled his head. He looked at Fan like looking at a freak. He stammered for a long time, but all that came out was a garbled mess. The shocking Universe Palm was unlike any ancient secret skill he used before. This was a heaven-defying ability. The alchemist seemed to have been in a dream. A refining skill that defined the heavenly laws actually existed in the world. Snorting, Fan said, "Did you see, old coot? This is our difference. The difference between heaven-toppling pill and Vicious Pill King is as big as heaven and earth." Vicious Pill King watched him dazed and couldn't get any word out. In rebuke, Fan sneered with a shake of his head and showed the pill to Xiaoya. "Forgive me, my cultivation isn't enough and could only refine a high fifth-grade pill. A perfect one shouldn't influence my spot, right?" The alchemist's faces twitched, feeling like crying. Making a fifth-grade pill in a blink is heaven-defying enough. So why in God's name do you have to make it a high one too? Are you trying to steal our bread? Xiaoya felt dizzy. Fan had to call her out a few times before he got a reaction. She rushed to receive the pill and assess it in detail. Grandmaster Song's high fifth-grade pill is successful. He keeps the first place and enters the final round to compete for the position of Pill King. At her words, Fan turned around and spread his arms. He looked at the audience, his cloak billowing, a manner exceedingly arrogant, and shouted, "As long as I stand in this spot, no one can take it." Grandmaster Song. The crowd's passion was ignited and pumped their fist as they called out his name. The Pill King finals had yet to start, but he had already become a Pill King in their eyes. Chapter 141. Yours truly wants to kick you out. Chapter 141. Yours truly wants to kick you out. Hearing the rumbling and fanatic cheers shaking even the heavens, Xie Tianyang looked envious. This punk does the same wherever he goes. If the world was in chaos, he'd be an overlord by now. Ah, Even peace can't stop this kid's rise. Long Gio caressed his beard, his eye trembling with admiration. I knew long ago he isn't someone to mess with, but it still leaves me in awe whenever I see him. I can't help but wonder what's his limit. The others heard him and turned to Juefan, being the star of the show, acting just like a king. They had a nod at Long Gio's assessment. Xiao Dandan listened to them praise Juefan, and pride got to her head. Her heart sweetened like honey. I found the best husband. He is leagues above the other men. Her thoughts were echoed by Chu Qingsheng as well. Seeing Juefan worshipped by the crowd, the cheers he evoked unknowingly changed her slim body's position, striking a dignified and imposing look, as well as love-struck eyes every woman. Even Chu Qingsheng hoped to find a shoulder to lean on. However, this was Drifting Flowers Edifice, a place where women governed. Furthermore, the people of Tianyu whose shoulders she could lean on could be counted on one hand. Not to mention, some had evil thoughts and were unworthy of trust. Not too long ago, she rested her weary body and hoped on the strong-armed Huang Puqingyan, only to find out the latter chose his house over her in spite of it all. Juefan came through in the end. She took him as a mere child and used him to comfort her heart. But she slowly came to realize that this man was the only one worthy of her trust. The praises, the veneration, and the kowtowing of the crowd was still ongoing, shaking the sky and jarring even the ears of the alchemists. Meddling with their refining, Xiao Ye was in the arena, gesticulating all over the place and demanding silence. Don't shout. Please remain. But no one heard her. Her sharp voice was drowned in the flood of praises. The only thing she could do was stomp in distress, grinning. Juefan raised a hand to catch everyone's attention. The uproar from before was gone in an instant, like it never existed. The crowd seemed to have faded from the silence, with only the flames of the alchemists in the arena making small burning noises. Everyone, other alchemists, are still refining. Please keep quiet for me. Juefan calmly flung his hair. There were nods all around, and even some zipping their mouths. Xiao Yu was exasperated. Whose goddamn competition is this? Grandmaster Song is too damn liked. Xie Tianyang's face twitched. Damn it, this punk is showing off again. In the eastern stand, Huang Puqingyun's mood sank ever lower. The bigger Juefan's popularity was, the harder it was for him to act. And this was something he did not want to see. As Juefan gained his current fame through alchemy, this was also the only way to crush it. And the only one up to the task was Vicious Pill King. But Vicious Pill King's confidence had begun to falter at this point. Looking at him, one could see Vicious Pill King ignoring everything around him and focused on refining his pill with all haste. The situation had gone out of his expectations. Instead of losing, Juefan kept his first spot in the third round, while Vicious Pill King was now on his second round of refining, putting him in last place. The only thing that worked as intended was his speed. Still very much capable of overtaking the others, Juefan knew this as well, and his grin turned into a sly smirk. A shiver struck Vicious Pill King out of the blue, but his mind was on refining. Suddenly, a flame flickered and Tao Danyang put out her flame, leaving behind a spinning and shining pill in her hand. Tao Danyang refined a high 5th grade pill. She enters the Pill King round. Xiao Ye's crisp voice resounded. Juefan raised his eyebrow and directed his belligerent eyes, along with his flout, at Vicious Pill King. Oh, even the hag finished. Elder Yin, didn't you say something about taking first place? How come you didn't even make it second place? Vicious Pill King's heart boiled with anger. Despite his quiet state, he knew Juefan's aim, to mess up his concentration and ruin the refining. Replying would fall into Juefan's trap. So he chose to bear it in silence. No matter what insults Juefan threw at him, he would ignore them this time. Juefan had a lot of time on his hand. Time which the Vicious Pill King needed. He was rushing as fast as possible, or the chance of elimination would be high at that point. The problem wasn't getting the Bodhi route, but saving his reputation. Juefan knew Vicious Pill King's mental state and wasn't worried. When you want to hit a person where it hurts, you need to do it at the precise time. It can't be too early or too late, and when you decide to go in for the attack, make sure he is sent to hell. Else, there will be heavy retaliation. As such, Juafan's nagging was only setting up the playing field. He was simmering the opponent and would only truly act when the perfect chance availed itself. High fifth-grade pill, refined. A familiar voice suddenly came, and Yin Fu showed the pill in his hand with pride. Juafan's eyelid twitched and laughed. Elder Yin, you taught one amazing disciple. He surpassed you. But now another spot in the finals slips from your grasp. Vicious Pill King didn't reply, but his raging glare pierced his prized pupil. The proud and cheerful Yin Fu felt a frosty pair of eyes watching him. When he discovered they were from his master, he started shivering and lowered his head, sweating bullets. He had now realized his blunder. In this competition, how could a disciple dare finish refining before his master? Wasn't this taking his master's limelight, openly defying him? He regretted it until his innards turned green. But what was done. Vicious Pill King also didn't waste time arguing with his moronic disciple, rushing to finish his own pill. Oh ho, that's Vicious Pill King for you. He can still hold it in. Juafan scratched his nose and smiled faintly at Yin Song. Ha ha, I must say, I do admire Elder Yan's staunch character, able to bear even your disciple's disgrace. Too bad you fell for it regardless. Vicious Pill King only snorted, knowing it all to be a ploy to mess with his head. He would fall for the trap if he truly replied, uncaring if he heard or not. Juafan kept on talking. Did you know? I failed the first time I used the universe palm. Vicious Pill King's ears peeled without wanting to. He knew it was all a trap, but not even Vicious Pill King could block his ears when it came to a heaven-defying alchemy skill. With a vicious grin, Juafan resumed. I failed because the flame was too weak. I was perfectly aware of this, even before I started. I didn't think of succeeding, just trying it out. In brief, I failed on purpose. Squinting, Vicious Pill King's heart skipped alongside his flame. He hastily calmed himself and resumed refining, but his hearing was now sharper. I only assumed the posture of losing for your benefit, while also earning the other's sympathy. All of it was to lower your guard, or my sneeze would have been stopped by you. With his jerking, Vicious Pill King's flame also trembled. He finally turned his head. So you acted right where the pill was at a crucial point, when I was most relaxed because of imminent success. Punk, such a vicious ploy is no less than you geekies. Aha, don't please. You're flattering me, Elder Yin. Juafan said. A plan is something that makes use of all available elements around oneself. Elder Yin said that these people can't save me no matter how stirred they are. And you are indeed correct. They may not be able to save me, but they can help me deceive an old geezer. If you weren't taken by my wretched display, I fear you wouldn't have lowered your vigilance around me so quickly. Vicious Pill King clenched his empty fist. He hated himself for being toyed with by a brat at his age. Ha ha ha, don't be so hard on yourself. Picking up on his thoughts, Juafan laughed. Since you've always been focused on alchemy, you're not that erudite in schemes. Losing is only natural. If it were you geeky, you wouldn't have been duped. No matter what, I have suffered greatly this time. But don't get too excited. There won't be a second time. Vicious Pill King spat through clenched teeth, arching an eyebrow. Juafan laughed hysterically. Oh, forgive me, Elder Yin. This may be a tad insolent, but I must inform you that you've been had again. Startled, Vicious Pill King didn't understand. It was now that Lu Yijin and two others shouted. In these few breaths of time, 3 more people entered the final round. You may be quick in refining. Your heart may be calm despite my words and didn't fail in your control. But I got to slow you down. A demonic smile was plastered on Juafan's face. Correct. Yours truly's aim isn't to mess your concentration, but to drag out your refining and kick you out. Frightened, Vicious Pill King saw more and more alchemists around him were about to finish and was anxious by the second. For the first time, he was afraid. This punk is a plague. From the 3rd round, no, since the beginning, he set up such a vicious trap for me to spring it. What's even more frightening is that he got me twice. Seeing the half-refined ingredients in his hand, Vicious Pill King's mood grew gloomier. He walked this earth for so many years, but this was his first meeting with a deceitful opponent like Juafan. Chapter 142, Pill Breaking Wind. Chapter 142, Pill Breaking Wind. Since there was no way to block him, kicking him out was option B. This was Zhuo Fan's plan, cooked up from the moment he heard of the third round's condition, as this round was based on speed. Cutting the old coot speed would make it harder for him to enter the finals with an evil smile. Zhuo Fan watched Vicious Pill King. The latter had been duped already, so why would he keep paying the brat any more attention? He was going as quickly as he could to finish the refining. And indeed, the best alchemist in the Empire wasn't one to disappoint, speeding through the process like a bullet. In but a few breaths, he was done with refining the ingredients. Next was forming the pill, raising an eyebrow. Zhuo Fan wasn't the least bit worried. There were some things that, even though one knew they were wrong, they still couldn't stop themselves from doing them, because they were still holding an interest in those things, and Vicious Pill King was no exception. Ahem. Zhuo Fan coughed lightly. Elder Yin, I noticed your pill's ingredients and decided to run by you the 9th heaven-roaring dragon claw secret I used in the second round. His ears perked without his knowledge. Despite knowing it was one of Zhuo Fan's ploys, despite being certain that this secret was bogus. No matter how bad it looked and felt, the temptation was too great. He wanted to know more about such a magical refining skill. Especially since he was an alchemist, he was only a breath from forming the pill's shape, but now the process was halted. His speed was now under Zhuo Fan's complete control. Laughing inside, Zhuo Fan still kept a serious face. Oh, going by its name, it has a dragon and claw in it. So your hand must also take the shape of a dragon claw. What a load of obvious bull. Vicious Pill King was clear as crystal of Zhuo Fan's scheme and didn't want to listen. But he only got his ears to blame for betraying him yet. Hearing the mention of a secret, he stopped to listen more closely. But what reached his ears was nothing more than some superficial talk from Zhuo Fan. He felt like crying, so wretched that he wanted to cut his ears off with no choice. He turned to Xiaoya and blabbed like a little kid to his teacher. Judge, this brat is disrupting my refining. What Grandmaster song is hindering you? How? Xiaoya looked skeptical with a red face. Vicious Pill King gnashed his teeth. The brat keeps gallivanting in my ear and distracts me. Silence followed throughout the arena, then shortly followed by rambunctious laughter. An alchemist's most important feature was his state of mind. What kind of alchemist are you to mess up your refining from a few words? How did you become the best alchemist in the Empire, anyway? Everyone looked out with mocking smiles. This never ever happened before. How could they have known Zhuo Fan's words struck a nerve? He didn't want to listen, but his ears were a whole nother matter. Everyone would feel the same if they were in his stead. The more he heard the maniacal laughter, the redder Vicious Pill King got. His face was thoroughly caked in mud. Xiaoya's eyelid twitched and cursed. Elder Yin, you're not child. Why are you complaining to me about such a simple matter? Yeah, we're just chatting and getting to know each other. Why did you have to go out and tattletale? Zhuo Fan liked to make a mountain out of a molehill, and jested this launched the crowd into another round of laughter. Getting his anger under control after a few breaths, Vicious Pill King shouted at Xiaoya. Wench, aren't you a judge? Do you even care? Why aren't you kicking this brat out? Fine. I do care, all right? Xiaoya shook her head helplessly and giggled an apology to Zhuo Fan. Grandmaster Song, I appreciate it if you would not speak with Elder Yin as he refines. Why not come into the guest's corner for a drink? Raising an eyebrow, Zhuo Fan said, Fine, I'll listen and won't talk. True to his words, Zhuo Fan's lips were sealed. Then, the next second, Vicious Pill King found the world around him got quiet and turned to see the other competitors. Most of them reached the step to complete their pill. While he was only at the molding phase, he sped up at once and gathered all the refined mixture into one place and took the final form of a pill. 5th grade pill completed. Another shout, another finalist. In total, there were 7 who qualified for the Pill King round. Vicious Pill King wiped the cold sweat from his brow and rushed urgently to finish the pill. Although worry had not left him in regards to a certain punk, fearful he might be up to something for the remainder of the process, he divided his attention to Zhuo Fan's every move, who, at this point, was on his best behavior, as if he abandoned any thoughts of thwarting Yin Song's progress. This punk is faking again. The last time you got me out of carelessness, but this time I will be on guard. The more this punk is at ease, the more certain it is he is waiting for me to show the slightest slip-up. Squinting, Vicious Pill King laughed coldly inside, while his heartstrings were also stretched taut. You won't get me a second time. Judge, I finished. Another shout marked the taking of the 8th spot of the finals. Vicious Pill King took a deep breath and worked hard to keep his calm while steadying the flame in his hand. Such a crucial time needed him to calm, and Tranquil, seeing the pill in his hand, had taken shape. Vicious Pill King gnashed his teeth and gave his 120%. This was a key moment, and failing was not an option. The silent and unmoving Juefan looked askance at his cautious nature in making the pills soon. He reached the final step. All that was left was to spur the flame and condense the pill, though. He started to recall Juefan's sneeze and was overly cautious of his interference. He could not be defeated a second time with the same trick. Vicious Pill King suddenly shouted inside, and the flame towered at this exact moment. The nightmarish sound came again at you. Vicious Pill King's heart seized and flicked his sleeve to protect the flame, while also turning his back to Juefan, but this scare shook his focus, and the flame was trembling. Luckily, he was a veteran alchemist and stabilized his state of mind in a blink, preventing his pill from being ruined again. Sighing relieved, Vicious Pill King wiped his sweat and turned to see Juefan, only to find the person in question sneezing in another direction and rubbing his nose like nothing happened. Noticing the old geezer's look, Juefan eyed him back and cursed. The hell you're looking at? Yours truly didn't disturb you. Stammering, Vicious Pill King was enraged, but no word came out. You don't need to talk to annoy me. Your presence is enough harassment as it is. Vicious Pill King suddenly felt dead tired. Not of the body, but in the mind. He had been on this earth for many years, but never was he as exhausted as he was now. Who could go through the refining process with one's nerves stretched tighter than a violin? He had to admit to one thing, though. Never in his life had there been anyone acting the same. Juefan did, noticing his master's embarrassment. Yin Fu was taken aback. Never was there a time when his ruthless master was pushed back again and again. Turning to the first spot, he saw Juefan with a cryptic smile, and his heart chilled for some unknown reason. Tao Danyang saw Yin Song sullen and couldn't help be chipper. Chu Qing Chang saw him getting toyed by Juefan, and her eyes shined with affection. The people on the terrace already laughed their hearts out. Yin Song had been a literal plague over the 7 houses, but now he was put in his place by a newbie. One couldn't help but relish the moment. One thing was clear, though. The brat wasn't ordinary. If any took his place, they would have long failed miserably. In the end, only Demon Juefan had ever beaten Vicious Pill King. They sighed. Yin Song was wicked beyond words, and only someone more wicked than him, a demon like Juefan, could settle this. Vicious Pill King. Huangpu Qingyun and his men in the eastern stand watched the scared Vicious Pill King with trepidation. If this old bag of bones loses, the Bodhi root will leave my grasp. Taking deep breaths, Vicious Pill King watched the almost finished pill and worked hard to calm his mind. He knew what everyone was thinking, which made this bout was just as important for him as it was to Juefan. If Juefan lost, his head would roll. If Vicious Pill King lost, not only his name would be dragged through the mud, the Regent Estate would bestow him its endless wrath. Vicious Pill King's eyes squinted and boosted the flame in his hand. The roaming pill inside the flame also lit up in a strange light. Vicious Pill King's eyes flashed, and his mouth perked up at a corner in hope. Almost there. Just a bit more, and I'm done with this exhausting refining. This goddamn round is so exhausting. Bam! A large sound came out of the blue. Vicious Pill King jerked, and his towering flame shuddered and exploded. Vicious Pill King didn't even notice his scorched beard and eyebrows, as the almost done pill was now junk. Vicious Pill King went stiff and stared into space. He turned around to see where the sound came from. Juefan scratched his head, embarrassed, with a dashing smile. Hey, do forgive me. I just couldn't hold it and farted. Was it too loud? SSS. Vicious Pill Kings couldn't stop trembling. He watched the beaming Fan with his black beard whipping in the wind, but was unable to make one word from the sheer anger he felt. Chapter 143, Damaged Vitality. Chapter 143, Damaged Vitality. Ha ha ha, damn. I admire this brat. Up on the terrace, Tianyang slapped the table as he roared in laughter. No matter where you go in the Tianyu Empire, all you hear about Vicious Pill King is how powerful and influential he is. But when he is here, he's actually reduced to such a wretched state. Look at him. He is on the verge of crying, so angry he can't even speak. He's so miserable. I even pity him. This brat is inhuman. How can he be like this to his elders? Ha ha ha. Tianyang cursed Fan, while also laughing. Long Jiao and Jian Suifeng's gazes met and smiled. But when they looked back at Fan, their eyes were filled with admiration. Long Jia and Long Kuei felt more and more complicated. Instead, they were of the same age and even came from one of the best houses in Tianyu. But they only got to be supporting roles for the elders of their house, while Fan, a servant from a third-rate clan, was fighting head-to-head with the empire's most famous, and even came at an advantage at that. Why was the gap so large when they were of the same generation? Peony Overseer and Iris Overseer watched the thin figure in complete control over the whole situation in such awe, they couldn't even speak. The two tasted Vicious Pill King's cruelty and treachery on their own skin. Yet they knew. Not even the entire Drifting Flowers edifice was enough to defeat him. However, today, the old geezer was like a puppet played by this mysterious youth to exhaustion. His wretched figure, unable to even cry, was something the two women never even believed was possible. Was this the same cruel and sinister Vicious Pill King? Swallowing dryly, the overseers watched each other, but it was Iris Overseer, in the end, who walked along. Jiao, Uncle Jiao, stop being so cryptic and tell us, who is this fake Sonyu already? Whose clan's young master is he? Or is he an inner disciple from a sect? Caressing his beard, Long Jiao shook his head, his eyes at a loss. Clan? Ha ha ha. His clan is nothing more than a firefly. As for sex, I never heard of any being mentioned. In short, this brat is one huge enigma. Not even Uncle Jiao knows. Peony Overseer was startled as she rushed over. Then why do you have so much faith in him? Faith? Humph, as if. Tianyang snorted. Out of everyone I trust, he is absolutely not among them. None of you know his true nature. One second he is buddy-buddy with you, and in the next he casts you aside, changing tunes faster than you can turn a page. If you put your faith in him, you won't even know how or why you died. This made Tianyang recall something, and his eyes were filled with dread. You cannot imagine a crueler and more sinister man in this world. I recall that condescending grin when he sold out Ninger, and it gives me chills even now. Their hearts shuddering, the overseers noticed Tianyang being truthful. But if this man was such a monster, why were Long Jiao and the rest respecting him so? Xiao Dandan was irked by Tianyang's description of Fan and barked, "You keep saying my husband is your friend, but why do you curse him behind his back and even call him a traitor?" Me curse? Ha ha ha. That's the truth of it. And he won't deny it either. Tianyang laughed. But if there's one thing I admire about him, it's his hypocrisy. Then why are you all still friends with him? Peony Overseer asked, puzzled. They all started laughing. How could we not? Iris Overseer was thoroughly confused. None of them clearly trusted him, and even said he was worse than a human. But why were they so reliant on him? Like a true friend, leaving him in charge of everything. Wasn't this a contradiction? Seemingly seeing her doubt, Tianyang smiled. Iris Overseer, trust and entrusting are different things. He is not a friend worthy of trust, but he is a brother to entrust in. And that is because of his strength. Tianyang pointed at the wretched, vicious Pill King. Tell me, if it weren't for our untrustworthy friend, how would you have dealt with that old geezer? Shuddering, the overseers now understood what he meant. It wasn't that this mysterious youth was worthy of trust to place Drifting Flowers Edifice's fate in his hand. It was that there was no one else up for the job. Lounging in a stone chair, Tianyang's look softened when he gazed at Fan. Do you know why you have such faith in an unworthy friend? Because he is the only one worthy of it. Without him, I would have lost the one I love. I believe I cannot repay this favor for as long as I live. This is why I spoke without hesitation at the feast and put Sword Marquis's abode in the face of danger for Drifting Flowers Edifice's sake. This shocked the two overseers greatly. It now came to light that Sword Marquis's abode and Veiled Dragon Pavilion did not help them because of Drifting Flowers Edifice, but because the brat asked them to. They started to laugh dejectedly. One of the 7 noble houses, Drifting Flowers Edifice, with a history of over a millennium, had lost in terms of reputation to a random kid. If grandmother knew this, she would be flipping out right about now. Achoo! On the first spot, Joafan sneezed for no rhyme or reason. But for real this time, rubbing his nose, Joafan cursed inside. Who the hell is talking behind my back? He looked at Vicious Pill King staring blankly. It's got to be this old coot cursing me in his mind. Don't you worry now. I will have your life soon enough. Joafan's eyes flashed with killing intent, but this time the old guy was innocent. Ever since his loss in the second round, out of anxiety, except for feeling anger, he didn't dare to even curse Joafan in his mind. All who entered the third round were famous grandmasters of alchemy. He may not be up to Vicious Pill King's level, but he had refining skills to make up for it after one failure. Yin Song could still catch up. But now, he fell behind too much, and there was no hope for a comeback. He now started to truly panic, but the more restless his heart was, the less he could think of a way out. Joafan laughed coldly inside. Having foreseen this, in fact, the 2 failures happened all according to Joafan's plan, right when they were about to finish being refined. This also worked to make him waste the most of his time, even if he didn't intervene in his third refining. The Vicious Pill King still wouldn't make it. Plainly speaking, Vicious Pill King lost the third round, but more importantly, he was played around like a fiddle by Joafan. Tao Danyang's eyes flashed in glee. She never would have thought Joafan capable of having Vicious Pill King kicked out of the competition now. Regardless of who of the 2 won, Bodhi Root would stay with Drifting Flowers Edifice. Chu Qingsheng found Joafan more and more to her liking. To take Xiao Dandan's earlier words, this husband was far stronger than the last. Got it. Vicious Pill King face-bombed out of the blue. He took out 8 silver needles in haste and stuck them in his head. Silver needle acupoint. Joafan raised an eyebrow and smiled. The old guy wanted to seal his hearing and avoid any disturbance. Why didn't you do it sooner then? Yours truly needn't interfere since you're through anyway. But Vicious Pill King flashed a flame on his hand and threw ingredients in 5th grade pill complete. And another shout came, marking the 9th finalist. The rest were also working hard. The slowest needed around 3 minutes, while the fastest ones are around half a minute. Humph, this old coot is done for. Joafan laughed coldly, while the other alchemists were getting excited. This was their chance, perhaps the only one in their lives, to beat Vicious Pill King suddenly. A blood arrow was spat into the flame, and the fire towered 10 meters high, many times stronger than before. In a blink, all the ingredients were refined. Joafan squinted. This old coot is dead serious on entering the finals to use even his blood essence. Too bad. Not even this could make a pill in time. Then another blood arrow was spat, and Vicious Pill King rushed to make signs despite the blood around his mouth. In a blink, the blood turned into the shape of a pill, and the concoction resulted from refined ingredients rushed inside. Shout later. Vicious Pill King's flame grew bigger, and the lustrous blood pill came out while emitting dense energy. Vicious Pill King grabbed the pill and shouted, 5th grade pill, complete. 5th grade pill, complete. At almost the same time, another shout echoed. Xiaoya eyed the 2 and came to Vicious Pill King, who finished first and nodded after inspecting the pill. Elder Yan's low 5th grade pill is complete. He enters the finals. He was pulling the last silver needle when he heard her. Vicious Pill King sighed and swayed. But this did not wipe the relief on his face from his waned face. Joafan knew he damaged his vitality. He may have qualified, but now he could refine no more. Chapter 144, Beyond Bold. Chapter 144, Beyond Bold. Since the 10 finalists have been decided, the rest will be eliminated. Not even looking at the pill of the alchemist who finished in close after vicious pill king. Xiaoyu shouted this caused an uproar. One born from puzzlement, as one protested. Weren't there supposed to be 20? Why only 10? Snapping a cold gaze at the speaker, Xiaoyu flatly explained, I never said there will be 20. It just so happened there were 20 top cauldrons prepared. Her words sent them pondering, making them realize their false preconceived notion at the start of the meeting. The judge never once mentioned how many would enter the finals and just started the competition, but as there were 20 top spots standing out from the rest, they simply took it for granted, realizing their own mistakes. The alchemists sighed in regret, especially the second batch of 10. They falsely assumed there was plenty of time and didn't give their all, wasting their chances. None of them considered that this was set on purpose by the Drifting Flowers edifice. An alchemist who did not strive to reach the top was unworthy to qualify unless, of course, he was like Zhuo Fan, with plenty of skills in their arsenal. After all, it was a universal practice to bend the rules and morals in any profession and let the strong ones in wait. The alchemist who finished after Vicious Pill King shouted his dissent. He was intimidated by Vicious Pill King, but soon calmed his heart as he declared his malcontent. Judge, my pill is a top 5th grade pill, while Elder Yan's was a low 5th grade pill. We also finished close together. Reason dictates that the 10th spot ought to be mine. Quiet. It was Zhuo Fan who got ahead of Xiaoyu. His cold eyes stared pitilessly. Are you deaf? This round was based on speed, not quality. This is what you get when you can't even understand what is required of you. What face can you expect when you bark like a dog? Forget about who was first or last. If this old guy finished at the same time as you, he'd still be the one to qualify since he shouted first. All the alchemists were startled. Vicious Pill King and Grandmaster Song are in a life and death battle. Grandmaster Song would no doubt by jumping for joy if he could kick the old goat out. Why is Grandmaster Song speaking up for his opponent? They were confused, and so too the people on the terrace. Even Vicious Pill King eyed Zhuo Fan with a stare. Tao Danyang watched worriedly from the side. Why is this brat defending him when he was working so hard to kick him out before? Chu Qingsheng was also clueless, her angelic eyes fixed on his figure under everyone's rapt attention. Zhuo Fan snorted and took on a smug attitude in his berating. I know exactly what you're thinking. Indeed, yours truly wanted to kick this old guy out. But he used blood essence to refine pills twice, cutting away almost half of his life to finally win his spot. And let's not mention braving through my schemes. But even so, I will still win the Pill King round. In the meantime, I will not have this old coot fail from meaningless prattle. That would be a disgrace to me as an alchemist. Silence as the grave then. Thunderous applause dominated the air, with worshipping eyes directed at Zhuo Fan. Now, this is the air of a true scholar. Open, frank, and of outstanding bearing. Even Vicious Pill King started to feel a thread of respect for Zhuo Fan. He inched his withered hands and slowly clapped. Tao Danyang sighed, but felt quite prideful. This brat is sinister and cruel when is needed and frank when the circumstances demand it. This is a true man, a husband worthy of that girl. Chu Qingqing's heart exploded with love. Xiao Dandan had long been thrilled that she was trembling. It was impossible for her not to adore such a dauntless man. Xie Tianyang and the rest nodded in admiration. Zhuo Fan was despicable, true, and scrupulous, also true, but was not nasty. Only evil, and his evil nature was embraced by his domineering character, making him an anti-hero. This man is a man of ambition, similar to myself. On the eastern stand, Huangpu Qingyun breathed out in lament. The others looked at him, then at each other in silence finally. It was Lin Ziqian who spoke. Second young master, you took a liking to the kid and want to employ him? Absolutely not. He shook his hand. Huangpu Qingyun's eyes flashed with killing intent. A mountain is too small for 2 tigers. With his ambition, he will not deign to serve under another. He must be dealt with swiftly, whether I get the Bodhi root or not. He must meet his end today. Huangpu Qingyun clenched his fist, his manner of unprecedented seriousness. A premonition struck me just now. He must die here, today, or Regent Estate will have an archenemy. The hearts of his men shuddered. Regent Estate was the strongest of the houses and wouldn't show fear even when matched against the other six. Why is it that the second young master evaluates this third-rate clan kid so highly? No matter how great his talent and skills were, he hadn't the power to fight against the Regent Estate. What they didn't realize was that Regent Estate's men were most skilled in grasping the heart of the people. If Huangpu Qingyan came to such a clear-cut decision regarding the kid's fate, it spoke of the possible threat Zhuo Fan could grow into and endanger Regent Estate. The men turned to watch Zhuo Fan with deep gazes. Only Lin Zitian, however, was uncaring as he flattered. Ha ha ha, second young master is overthinking. A third-rate clan brat, regardless if he knows some ancient refining skill or if he was even a seventh-grade alchemist, this is only limited to alchemy. He can't. Huangpu Qingyan's piercing stare snapped at him. Lin Zitian stopped with a shiver. I will say it again. This kid must die today. Huangpu Qingyan's eyes flashed with absolute conviction. The others had never seen him so determined. They could only nod, as each's eyes flashed with their own resolution in the arena. The discontent alchemist cupped his hand in shame. Grandmaster Song is indeed correct. I never had the right to enter the 10th spot. Please do forgive my careless words. Having seen Grandmaster Song's imposing manner, I feel ashamed of myself. The man gave a deep bow to Zhuo Fan and left with a lowered head. This earned more reverence from the crowd. The man was ranked 13th in the Empire in alchemy, known to nitpick on anything and everything. Yet the same man submitted willingly. Grandmaster Song is of impeccable moral standing. Zhuo Fan would have cracked up if he heard the moral was the least fitting trait when it came to him. It was more accurate to call him of ruthless standing, beating others into submission with power rather than reason. Xiaoya bowed in appreciation to Zhuo Fan. She had first despised him, then was shocked by him, and now had come to respect him with something else mixed within. Zhuo Fan had no experience in this field to pick up these subtle signals. However, Chu Qingcheng was one who always followed her heart. Thus, she noticed these signals immediately and could only shake her head. An outstanding husband is not always a good thing. Too many eyes will be on him. To all grandmasters that have entered the Pill King round, congratulations. You have a chance of getting Drifting Flowers Edifice's most precious treasure, the 9th grade spirit item, Bodhi Root. Xiaoya smiled. I asked that everyone move to their respective spots. The last 8 alchemists started to move in order. Their ability in alchemy was clear-cut as to who was strong and who was weak. Only Vicious Pill King fell from the 2nd to the 10th spot under Zhuo Fan's relentless harassment. Hey, old guy, give up. Tao Danyang felt quite thrilled to have finally got ahead of that old coot for once. Snickering, Vicious Pill King glared at the hag and snorted. What are you so excited about? It wasn't you who did it. Vicious Pill King looked at Zhuo Fan, now filled with a staunch desire to fight. He hadn't felt like this in decades. Brat, I've been unequaled in alchemy all my life. But today, ha ha ha, I have traveled the continent unchecked for decades, and not once have I found one worthy of admiration. But today, ha ha. Laughing, Vicious Pill King slowly walked to his new spot, yet his voice was still clear. Brat, we will have a true battle today and see who should be the best alchemist in the Empire. Shock pervaded the crowd. The arrogant, vicious Pill King, who saw no one as his equal, not even Regent Estate's leader, just acknowledged someone. On the surface, he might seem like he cared about the Regent Estate. However, deep inside, he still couldn't care less about them. He was the first alchemist in the Empire and had arrogance to spare. However, this time, he met his match. 3 times they duped, 3 times he failed. He never suffered such a wretched defeat in his life. Yet now he was far from angry, but jealous instead. It was as if he was back in his prime, filled with the thirst for battle. Tao Danyang was startled, getting the feeling he was looking at the Vicious Pill King of old. She smiled and said to Zhuo Fan, Kid, the old coot already took you as his opponent. This is his approval of you. Tsh, since when does yours truly need his approval? Zhuo Fan's tone was filled with coldness. Old coot, you lost close to half of your life in the last round. Keep this up in the next one, and you will fall. My life is my own. Today, I will win against you. Vicious Pill King shook his hand and spoke resolutely, raising an eyebrow. Zhuofan started reevaluating the old coot. Vicious Pill King no longer had the cruel and sinister manner from before, but the bearing of a true grandmaster of alchemy. Chapter 145, Pill King. Chapter 145, Pill King. Master, are you all right? Be careful of your wounds. After changing his spot, Yin Fu rushed to Vicious Pill King and looked at him in worry. Vicious Pill King, however, didn't even acknowledge his presence. Bam. Vicious Pill King slapped his face out of the blue, sending him sprawling 3 meters away as he barked. Humph! You dare finish before your master? Did you not see how close I was to not entering the finals? Forgive me, master. I was wrong. I would have never considered it possible for that punk to... Yin Fu crawled sullenly to Vicious Pill King, but the latter's words got stuck in his throat. Squinting, Vicious Pill King spoke icily. What were you trying to say? That the punk played me to such a miserable state? Never. Yin Fu lowered his head, sweating bullets, shaking his head. Vicious Pill King said, What, never? Yes, I was indeed played like a fiddle. Be it in alchemy or schemes, I failed on both accounts. Is there anything wrong with saying it? Even the brat admitted he could not kick me out. His plan failed. So what could I, in my sorry state, not dare to admit? Yin Fu was shocked. He looked up in fright as he muttered, Master, why have you changed? I have not changed, only returned. Taking a deep breath, Vicious Pill King gazed afar with eager eyes. It was unclear if he was speaking to himself or his disciple. An alchemist's mind should be set only alchemy. Success and failure are commonplace. It does not warrant covering it up. Vicious Pill King looked at Yin Fu. Disciple, do you know why I hit you? Because I dared to finish before master and shamed you. Before Yin Fu could finish, Vicious Pill King shook his head and laughed. Ha ha ha. Over that small matter? I only blame you for taking a spot and almost making me lose the chance to fight a worthy opponent. I never had such an opportunity in all my life. Laughing again, Vicious Pill King ignored his disciple and went to the 10th spot. Yin Fu was startled and turned his head to look at his master. He felt his master was unlike his usual self. His master used to emphasize results above all else. Successful refining was rewarded, while failure, punishment. Under such strict guidance, he had managed to surpass Liu Yizhen's rank and become one of the top 5 alchemists in the empire now. His master no longer cared about results, but to have a fair match with the kid. If the kid had dared threaten Vicious Pill King's place of being the first alchemist in the empire from the start, he would have been long dealt with a dead man. Even with neat alchemy skill, wouldn't have been able to challenge him. Strange, is it because the brat helped my master out just now? Yin Fu's heart was filled with questions. He had no way of knowing. It was simply a hero respecting another hero. When formidable individuals fought, they may employ devious schemes, a dog-eat-dog battle, but a win was absolute and victory brilliant. Zhuofan did not manage to kick out the Vicious Pill King and openly admit his loss. It is fine if he failed this time. After all, there was still the next round, which Zhuofan intended to dominate, but from the gossip flying around about Vicious Pill King, it would be impossible for Zhuofan. Naturally, Zhuofan did not take their words to heart. He knew that these people could be used, but never relied upon. After all, the sneaking and sinister way of a dowager had always been the weapons of the weak, and the scorn of the strong. Vicious Pill King felt the same and now had his spirit aroused. He wanted to pit against Zhuofan in this round and win clean and perfectly, so that Zhuofan would have no room to deny it. The battle between these two heavyweights was on the field of alchemy. Yet, it was also a fight to the death. On the eastern stand, Huangpu Qingyun stared at Zhuofan, then at Vicious Pill King. Tell me, can Elder Yin win? Of course, second young master. Lin Zitian jumped right in with a giggle. Elder Yin lost the first 3 rounds, but from the 3rd round, the brat used an ancient refining skill that is taxing on the body. His best is a 5th grade pill, while Elder Yin is a true 7th grade alchemist. It would make no sense if he lost. And I see. Huangpu Qingyun nodded, but then smiled. However, Elder Lin, thank you for reminding me. You said the same thing in the last round, staking your head on Elder Lin's victory. And how did it end? Lin Ziqian cursed in his heart as his smile froze. When did I ever put my head for the likes of that old coot? Isn't it you who demanded it? His only choice was to keep those words to himself and shake his head with a bright smile, laughing. Huangpu Qingyun said, "Anyway, I did not expect anything from the old man. The loss in his first round can be said it was because of that brat's tricks. But he failed the second round from P." Huangpu Qingyun shook his head, but then cracked up when he recalled Yin Song's wretched look as if he swallowed a fly. All right, let's take it as the kid is quite able. But the third round, a sneeze and a fart threw him back to the 10th spot. Is this still because of the kid's amazing skills? Second young master, Yin Song, is usually a vicious and spiteful man. But to fail when it was most crucial makes him unworthy of bearing heavy responsibilities. The fifth elder stepped forward and started throwing stones at Yin Song. Huangpu Qingyun raised an eyebrow. Elder Lin, what do you have to say? Lin Ziqian was hesitating. Second young master was clearly resentful over Yin Song's failures, but he had always stuck up for the old guy, and their fates were tied. If he was a turncoat now, wouldn't the second young master never trust his words again? Lin Ziqian gnashed his teeth. Since I was wrong from the start, then I'll be so till the end. I hope this will be a chance for me and that old guy. He said, "Second young master, please relax. Elder Yin isn't the only one at fault, because his opponent is too sinister. In this Pill King round, the requirement is definitely above the 5th grade, and the kid won't win no matter how cunning he is. Elder Yin will be the one to take the first place." Huangpu Qingyun eyed him deeply, not because he found Elder Lin's words right, but that this opportunist had a loyal side. He couldn't help but secretly nod at that. Lin Ziqian noticed his admiring gaze and sighed. Feeling proud this time, I made the right call. It's not easy sticking close to the ruling class. In the arena, Xiaoyu smiled at the 10 grandmasters in their respective spots and started the finals. In this Pill King round, everyone has free reign on what they make. Instead of speed, it will be the highest grade that will crown you Pill King in this 100-pill meeting. In an instant, some were worried while others were happy. Huangpu Qingyun's side laughed. It went as Lin Ziqian said, with the final round based on an alchemist's true ability. Tao Danyang frowned. Zhuo Fan was in the bone-tempering stage and could only make a 5th grade pill after giving his all. How was he going to defeat the 7th grade alchemist Vicious Pill King now? Yet, by his appearances, Zhuo Fan seemed unconcerned. When Vicious Pill King looked at him, his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. After losing 3 rounds in a row, he figured out that the kid couldn't always rely on schemes. The refining of a 7th grade pill at the bone-tempering stage may be pure fantasy, but, this kid might actually pull it off. Zhuo Fan felt the old man's eyes and waved. He didn't think the one to believe him the most ended up being his greatest opponent. Then, for the purpose of fairness, Drifting Flowers Edifice will provide high-grade ingredients for grandmasters who are missing ingredients. Xiaoyu clapped, and a lovely group of hundreds of disciples pushed cabinets in the arena. The cabinets contained ingredients from the lowest grade to the 7th, and even a few 8th grade ingredients could be noticed swallowing dryly. Everyone, especially the alchemists, were now greedily looking over the items like a pack of starved wolves meeting a fresh lamb. Like a pack of perverts meeting a naked and gorgeous lady. Damn, Drifting Flowers Edifice is filthy rich. The sheer amount of ingredients here was not something a 3rd and 2nd-rate clans could hope to obtain. Not even a 1st-rate clan could get them easily. I invite the grandmasters to choose the ingredients you are lacking for your refining. A word of caution, however, do not get greedy. You need to refine with all the chosen ingredients. Otherwise, Xiaoya's smile penetrated their deepest thoughts, coughing lightly. The people chuckled in embarrassment, then began choosing. In no time at all, they all finished, having returned to their spots. However, Xiaoyu looked around and found one spot empty, still looking at the cabinets. Zhuo Fan was there choosing, looting his booty. He didn't take his time going from one ingredient to another, but stuffed a whole cabinet in his ring and moved to the next. From a first grade to the eighth, he didn't miss one. The crowd was in total shock. Dude, can you not so openly rob the drifting flowers edifice? My God, the comedy. My stomach. Ha ha ha. Chapter 146, Shameless Looting. Chapter 146, Shameless Looting. Grandmaster Song, why you? Xiaoyu pursed her red lips, and despite knowing what he was doing, she couldn't outright say it. Before the 3 rounds, Zhuofan was nothing more than a nameless silk pants, now turned number 1 famous alchemist. Some token of respect had to be present when addressing him. Even as the first in the empire, you still need to be ethical. You should not openly break the rules of 100-pill meeting. Xiaoyu was watching him awkwardly. She could neither stand still nor let him do what he wanted. This was a pickle. Zhuofan's hands paused and raised an eyebrow. Didn't you say these are for us? So which is it? Grandmaster Song, I think you misunderstood me. She explained, these are only used as complementary ingredients to the ones you have. Yeah, but I'm lacking everything. Zhuofan resumed, looting the cabinets. The crowd was speechless. You can do that? The alchemists from before were also shocked silly, thinking they should have taken some more when they had the chance. Judge. If Grandmaster Song can do it, then there's no problem if I do it too. Lu Yijin licked his lips, looking at Zhuofan and Xiaoyu anxiously. If I don't hurry up, the kid will pick them all clean. He was a top alchemist, but he sorely lacked ingredients. Xiaoyu glared. Grandmaster Lu, don't make trouble. You're saying you can use them all in this round? Lu Yijin let an awkward smile, then shook his head on his way to his spot. With how many ingredients there were, who could refine them all? He couldn't mess with drifting flowers edifice. Then again, getting a couple can't hurt, right? Lu Yijin looked again at Zhuofan with admiration. He was plundering the cabinets like he was moving house. Just which clan or sect does he hail? There's no way a third-rate clan kid would dare perform highway robbery right under drifting flowers edifice's nose. Grandmaster Song, you need to make sure you use all ingredients you're taking, or there will be serious consequences. Xiaoyu had gotten angry and changed her tone. Zhuofan's hand slowed, then smiled and sighed. With how many there are here, how could they be refined in one go? This amount is enough for tens of thousands of pills. Then again, so what? Once he got crowned as the pill king, he'd take the Bodhi root and haul ass out. The drifting flowers edifice could then do nothing but eat his dust, so he might as well get as many treasures as he could. They'd be breaking all ties at the end, and it would be such a waste to leave these beauties lying here. Slowly turning his head, Zhuofan grinned. How do you know I won't be using them all? I'll do it in a jiffy. Don't you worry your pretty little head about it. He then resumed his shameless picking. Xiaoyu was close to crying. She never saw a more vile grandmaster in her life, refining tens of thousands of pills on the spot, as if this was daylight robbery. The crowd watched the darkest horse in this arena, who had displayed alchemy skills more outstanding than even vicious Pill King, now robbing the cabinets of ingredients. To think this grandmaster has balls to rob Drifting Flowers edifice. Yet, Drifting Flowers edifice did not even try removing him from the premises. After all, who told them to give the alchemists free rein? And what if someone insisted he could refine thousands upon thousands of pills? Although far-fetched, that's beside the point. You can only settle this after the competition. Xiaoyu waited bitterly for Zhuofan to load up his ring. When he stopped, Xiaoyu was overjoyed and smiled. Grandmaster Song, are you ready? Then please return to your spot and begin refining. Everyone is waiting for you. Frowning, Zhuofan turned to Xiaoyu and his ring flashed. My storage ring is packed. Can you bring me another? Staggering, Xiaoyu was about to collapse. The audience's faces froze. Grandmaster Song, you're too shameless. No, Drifting Flowers edifice does not provide storage rings. Xiaoyu roared, glancing at her. Zhuofan snorted helplessly. What 7 noble houses? So stingy. Xiaoyu was close to spurting blood. Thank God, she choked on words, and the blood stayed inside. She glared at Zhuofan with such hatred that she wished she could tear him limb from limb. You took advantage of us, and still dares to call us stingy? Is there anyone in the world more shameless than you? Looking at the cabinets, most of them were empty. leaving only the first and second grade ingredients behind. Xiaoyu was this close to bursting into tears. These ingredients took Drifting Flower's edifice a whole year to gather. Some of them were close to 100 years old before being harvested. Yet, all of them were swept clean by a damn punk. Drifting Flower's edifice aimed to show off their power by letting the participants choose their ingredients. But then, this fool came around and nabbed them all. Just you wait, brat. If you don't bake 10,000 pills, I will tear you a new one. Xiaoyu glared with all her power at Zhuo Fan to comfort her bleeding heart. Her slight, almost ephemeral respect she had for him before now burned in the flames of rage and hatred. This punk is a rogue. Zhuo Fan had better things to do than care about her opinion. He scratched his nose and went to his spot. What is fame when tangible stuff is more valuable? On the terrace, Xie Yang was piqued by his actions, then asked, Elder Jiu, I heard you and the brat came to become allies. All his ingredients must be coming from Veiled Dragon Pavilion. Why is it that he looks so miserably poor? He was even moved by those first-grade ingredients. Humph, when talking about greedy people, even a needle on the ground can move them. Long Kuei berated Xie Yang, raised an eyebrow in thought. Well, that's quite true. With this brat's character, everywhere he goes, not even grass is left. Long Jiu muttered under his breath, but actually agreed with Long Kuei's assessment. What little Kuei said isn't without wisdom. This brat sure is greedy. Veiled Dragon Pavilion may be his ally, but we can't just give him our best ingredients. We can only provide 4th grade at most. But for some reason, the attendant in charge of giving him ingredients suddenly gave 5th grade ingredients too, and lots of them. We later questioned the old and loyal attendant, but he would rather take the blame for sneaking the ingredients out than to say anything. Ha ha ha, that brat sure has a way with people. Long Jiu chuckled. His eyes, however, were especially dignified. Xie Yang muttered, Damn, I know this brat is vicious to everyone, enemy and friend alike. But he can even dig out Veiled Dragon Pavilion cornerstones? That's not quite right. The attendant is still fine, working for our house as we speak. Even he doesn't know what got into him at that time to help that brat out. Shuddering, Xie Yang and Jian Suifeng looked at each other as they sank in deep thought. They, who had a certain understanding of Zhuo Fan, now revised their opinion of him. We must not, by any means, act too friendly with him when we interact, or he'll dig out everything from our house. The overseers were too focused on what happened in the arena to pay attention to their discussion. With every empty cabinet, their hearts bled harder. As the son-in-law to Drifting Flower's edifices, he shows not the least restraint when taking our things. But he even goes as far as not leaving anything. Chu Qingqing's angelic eyes now had a rare hint of killing intent. Rotten brat, isn't what's yours mine? What are you taking everything for? You'll soon be returning them anyway. Xiaoyu took a few deep breaths to push her anger down, boring her eyes in Zhuo Fan. She shouted at the 10 participants. With everyone ready, the Pill King round shall begin. Yuan Qi flames were ignited one after the other. Zhuo Fan was unmoving, however. Xiaoyu gnashed her teeth and spat. Grandmaster Song, don't forget, you have to refine all the ingredients. Snorting, Zhuo Fan had a smile of disdain. You daft? I ain't that stupid. Wait for me to be crowned Pill King. Take my prize, then skip town. What will you do then? Boom. Like a roar of a huge beast, the sound from a blood-colored flame shook everything as it reached the heavens the instant it appeared. The alchemists close to it had their flames shriveled up squinting. Zhuo Fan laughed coldly inside. Humph, that old coot finally plans to show his true skill. Chapter 147. Amazing Display. Chapter 147. Amazing Display. This. Xiaoyu jumped in fright from the sudden strange flame and turned in its direction. Lu Yizhen smoothed his beard as he gave a chuckling apology to his fellow alchemist behind him. Ha! Terribly sorry. It is the finals, and I must give it my all. Do forgive me if I offend anyone. No matter how polite he made it sound, his eyes couldn't hide the pride he felt. The alchemist swallowed dryly and eyed the towering flame, and then, to their own lifeless yuan chi kindle. Feeling more and more despondent, how were they supposed to compete when another just snuffed out their efforts? They watched him with hatred in their hearts, but also envy. Just where did this old guy get that flame from anyways? With that flame, his refining might reach the 6th grade. Xiao Ye's eyes lit up and cried. Grandmaster Lu's flame must be from a 4th-level spiritual beast, the sky-blazing python's heartfire. I heard the sky-blazing python spends its time moving underground, and its core is influenced by the earth's fire. It is so hot it can melt anything. No ingredient on this land cannot be refined with it. Grandmaster Lu must have been holding on to it for the final round. Ha ha ha. You sure are knowledgeable, girl. No wonder you're the judge. But besides a flame, one must also make use of an intricate refining skill. I have taken out this flame to increase my rank. However, I dare not aim for the crown. Lu Yizhen shook his hand with modesty, but his pride was no different from one who thought of himself as the next pill king. Hypocrite, cursed the crowd, in particular the alchemists who only had yuan chi flames and were influenced by the mighty blaze. He had a reason to be smug, of course. With how strong his 4th-level spiritual beast flame was, it not only increased his refining, but also slowed down the others, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. With such a flame, if 2 people were of equal levels, one would have his refining boosted by 2 grades. His confidence was well placed. Even you, vicious pill king, my flame will lower you from 7th grade to 6th. Everyone could make this educated guess, just from looking at the faltering flames around him. Just when the crowd was focused on the battle between Vicious Pill King and Zhuofan, it had now gotten even more confusing to whom the crown would place their bets. On Xiaoya's side, and watched Lu Yizhen in admiration. He was the true black horse of the 100-pill meeting. He hit it well. She couldn't help asking this, though. Grandmaster Lu, I heard that sky-blazing python is very rare and strong, as a profound heaven expert. May I ask how you obtained its core's flame? Ha ha ha. That time was truly dangerous. About a year ago. Humph, you're so cocky with just a stinking snake flame. Just as Lu Yizhen was about to retell his grand and historical venture, of the endless trials of hardship he had to go through, a snort stopped him short, then marked by a humming. A small bluish flame flickered into existence. Its appearance cut the size of all yuan chi flames in half. What was even more astounding was the fact that even Lu Yizhen's beast core flame shuddered as it turned lifeless, crying out in shock. Lu Yizhen turned to find Yan Fu holding a raging dark blue fire and sporting a condescending smile. Tis. Xiaoya cried, is this a 5th-level spiritual beast flame from the fire swallow? Indeed. Yan Fu laughed coldly and mocked Lu Yizhen. I have bested you in the imperial capital, old Lu, and I will do it again today. Don't get carried away in thinking the Pill King title is yours. Ha ha, how laughable. You think you're the only one in this world with a special flame? Beet red, Lu Yizhen felt his anger boil, but had no leeway to complain. He had to admit that a top alchemist was more than capable of getting himself a 4th-level spiritual beast flame. The least of all Yan Fu, who was Pill King Hall's core disciple. Sigh, I was too naive. In the end, who could compare with the 7 noble houses? Lu Yizhen gave a wistful sigh. Before he could rise completely, another one came to knock him down his place. Now recalling the smug look from before, it only worked to color his face red. Young Master Yin, Fire Swallow is a 5th-level spiritual beast that even Radiant Stage experts have trouble defeating. How did you get its flame? Xiaoya's eyes were riveted on the flame, grinning. Yin Fu swept his eyes over Tao Danyang and the rest of Drifting Flowers Edifice's female disciples and laughed. This flame was bestowed by Pill King Hall to me, the greatest of its disciples. As for how, humph, Pill King Hall needs only to want something, and it will soon have it. His words didn't reach the average disciple because of the competition's noise, but Chu Qingxing and her overseers heard it clearly, and glared at him. Even Tao Danyang's green face turned gloomy and terrifying, but he couldn't care less as he began introducing it in his arrogance. Alchemy is the balance of yin and yang. Old Lu's flame may perhaps be from a 4th-level spiritual beast, But the earth fire is too violent, unfit for refining pills. My flame, on the contrary, is fire, yet it holds some water. It is also water, yet it contains fire. Thus fire and water combine, and yin and yang intertwine. It is the most fitting flame for alchemy. And only Pill King Hall's men know how to find such a flame. And so, the only ones who can be Pill King is... Suddenly, a green flame appeared before him. The common Yuan Qi flame shrunk again. And Lu Yizhen with Yin Fu's spiritual beast flames were also cut down to size, emerging like a beast king from deep in the mountains. The other flames prostrated before it. Yin Fu squinted and looked at Tao Danyang's green flame in shock. Why you, that? Humph! Your fire swallow flame is best suited for alchemy? You will first have to ask this 6th-level spiritual beast flame of mine, the Moon Fire Falcon's flame. What is 6th-level spiritual beast? This caused widespread shock. Not even a Radiant Stage expert would dare mess with such a being. Just how did Tao Danyang get hold of this marble? Xiaoya grew happy inside. Tao Danyang was from Drifting Flowers Edifice, after all, and praised, Aunt Tao, how did you obtain the flame of a 6th-level spiritual beast? Humph, girl, why ask when you already know? You think my old body has the skill to go pull the life fire from the belly of a 6th-level spiritual beast? Tao Danyang cursed as she eyed Yin Fu, then the further away vicious Pill King, trying to shake Drifting Flowers Edifice's prestige. Then she shouted, "This is a fire is passed down in the Drifting Flowers Edifice to its best alchemist. Girl, remember, this is not a flame that can be sought. The Moon Fire Falcon flies 30 kilometers above and comes out at night to absorb the moon's yin while eating the spiritual herbs in the mountains. This makes its flame have the essence of the moon. It can increase the grade of a pill in refining. How can a mere fire swallow's flame compare to it?" Under the guise of teaching Xiaoya, Tao Danyang was in fact speaking loudly to jab at Yin Fu. Yin Fu gnashed his teeth, but kept silent. A 5th-level beast flame was a cut short compared to a 6th-level beast flame. Not to mention, the Moon Fire Falcon ate many spiritual herbs in its life, making it far stronger than Fire Swallow. This ultimately made it unfit for comparison. Tao Danyang stuck her chin out in pride and mocked. Pill King title is only fit for Pill King Hall. Is it? Humph! Punk, be careful of making too big a boost, and unable to back it up. Shuddering, Yin Fu glared at her as he barked, "Old hag, don't get too happy. I am just a junior, not your match in alchemy. But don't forget, I'm not the best alchemist in Pill King Hall. My master, Vicious Pill King, is." Yin Fu turned to Vicious Pill King and shouted, "Master, open the eyes of these ignorant fools and let them see your true strength." The people turned their attention to Vicious Pill King, waiting for the best alchemist in the empire to let out his best skill. Only the few Grandmaster alchemists who used Yuan Qi flames felt like crying looking at the puny flames in their hands. Grandmasters, you're all so rich, you all have beast flames. But we are dirt poor, using the weakest flame made of Yuan Qi. Have some mercy and don't take out an even more amazing flame, or our Yuan Qi flames won't take it. We won't even be able to cook rice, let alone pills. Chapter 148, Heaven and Earth Spirit Flame. Chapter 148, Heaven and Earth Spirit Flame. Master, Yin Fu's call echoed in everyone's ears, but Vicious Pill King seemed oblivious. His eyes fixed on one place only. It happened even at Yin Fu's second call following his sight. What lay at the end was the first spot where Zhuo Fan stood with his arms crossed and eyes closed in Vicious Pill King's eyes. This opponent was the only one who could light his competitive spirit. Taking a deep breath, Vicious Pill King shouted, "Kid, don't you have any other special skills in store for this final round?" Flashing his eyes open, Zhuo Fan shot him a look and snorted, "If yours truly has or not. What's it to you?" "Quite a lot, actually. I want to have a showdown with you, a fair competition. If you're still hiding your skills, then I shall be using the flame that had been with me for years to win. But if this is all you had to offer, I won't take advantage of your plight. Even keeping my flame hidden, I can still beat you just with a plain Yuan Qi flame." Such bold words. The people's hearts shivered, their faces gloomy. If vicious Pill King said this before, none would have anything to comment. Just who could beat the best alchemist in the empire? But now, after losing to Juefan 3 times, his words were akin to an empty boast. Oh please, don't you recall how Grandmaster Song pissed, sneezed, and farted you out of the 2nd spot? If not for wasting half of your shriveled life, you'd never even be in this round. It happened just a few minutes ago. Did you go senile, you old coot? Not only Chu Ching Chung looked derisory at him, but the rest of the audience as well, but vicious Pill King only had eyes for Juefan. Anything else, even the despising glances directed to him, were of no consequence. Juefan squinted and snorted. Humph, then let yours truly enlighten you. I indeed have hidden one skill. Don't you worry your old little head about it, and go all out. The title of Pill King will be mine regardless. Ah, all right. Then I shall rest easy. You are the first opponent in decades that can make me exert all my ability in alchemy. Please, after you. Raising an eyebrow, Juefan asked, Why do you want me to go first? Shouldn't we both do it at the same time? With an ambiguous smile, vicious Pill King showed a proud expression. Youngster, I'm not bragging when I say that even with your great refining skill, you won't finish that pill once I let out this old flame of mine. In hope that you can exert your best, I will start after you finish. It wouldn't matter if I finish a bit later. This round is based on the grade after all. Juefan's mouth perked at one corner and almost laughed. The old coot has total confidence in his flame. But so did he in regards to his azure flame, his secret weapon. Just that it got him wondering which was stronger, his azure flame or the old coot's. There is no doubt. Mine is better. It was one of those treasures that the demonic emperor would covet smiling. He said, Since Elder Yin is so sure, by all means, take out your flame and let us all widen our horizons. While also letting me know if I should just give up right now. Yeah, master, just let them see your might. Yin Fu cheered laughing. Vicious Pill King never felt more excited as of this moment. If you want to see it so much, then here it is. With a cackling laughter, a white fire burned in Vicious Pill King's thin hand. Then, a wicked face appeared within the flame. That cackling laughter actually came from it. Its appearance snuffed out all the Yuan Qi flames around. Lu Yijin, Yin Fu, and Tao Danyang's beast flames acted as if something dreadful appeared and shrank to half their size, as if prostrating before their king shock was an understatement, as even Juefan's eyelids trembled. Who knew this old guy was actually hiding something so valuable? This, Tao Danyang was scared out of her mind. Yin Fu raised his head in pride and laughed. Do you see that? This is the flame master chanced upon a decade ago. The heaven and earth spirit flame. Bone soul, true fire. A heaven and earth spirit flame? SSS. Those words evoked gasps of sheer amazement from all around. The people watched the evil face in Vicious Pill King's hand, and their hearts sighed. Even the alchemical disinclined knew that the heaven and earth spirit flame was made from gathered spiritual energy of heaven and earth that over millions of years and had gained spirituality. The flame was actually alive, a veritable king among flames. The 5th and 6th level beast flames were nothing compared to it. The flame was the body, while the wicked face was the spirit of the bone soul true fire. It not only could refine any kind of ingredient, but also amplify their effects and raise the grade of the pill. It was every alchemist's dream to have one Vicious Pill King was the best alchemist in Tianyu for a reason after all. Now, no matter what secret refining skills Juefan used, it would be of no importance. Did you not see how the Yuan Qi flames got snuffed? They couldn't stand its power. Even those beast flames were shirking away. 3 things were of most importance to an alchemist: cultivation, refining skills, and flame. When the flame was wilted from the pressure of another, winning was impossible. Sighing, the people turned to Juefan, shaking their heads in pity. How sad! An extraordinary alchemist was so close to beating the best alchemist in Tianyu, but under the flame suppression, failure is imminent. If he fails here, we will lose another genius. The heavens must be truly jealous of geniuses. The thought didn't even cross their mind if Juefan, with how young he was in his background, had a flame that could counter Vicious Pill King's heaven and earth spirit flame, since not even the 7 houses could pass along such flames. This old guy's luck had to be off the charts to stumble upon the bone soul, true fire, sensing everyone's fear and awe of it. The white flame's face cackled madly in excitement. The laughter was jarring to the ear and filled with boundless despise. Just like a ruler who won and lorded over his enemies, Tao Danyang sighed and closed her eyes. If she knew the old man to have such a spirit item, she wouldn't have wasted her energy and just gave up then again. Now that she recalled, the one who won 3 times against Vicious Pill King was none other than him. Tao Danyang turned to Zhuo Fan and shook her head. Not even a brat can get out of this one. Chu Qingcheng frowned in worry. She was looking at Zhuo in hope he had a way to turn all around. But Zhuo Fan's face never wavered. He was always calm, as if he was in deep thought. The overseers were beside themselves in worry. Only Long Jio's group was unfazed. According to Zhuo Fan's plan, winning wasn't a must. At worst, he'd just bowled on the eastern stand. Huang Pu Qingyun's group had long since started laughing. The old man actually had such a treasure hidden. Losing now is impossible. Ha ha ha. Huang Pu Qingyun laughed. Vicious Pill King is definitely worthy of his title. The others nodded, with the happiest being Lin Ziqian at some point. He tied his fate with Vicious Pill King over a reason not he was sure of. But now that Vicious Pill King was at an advantage, the second young master was excited, and he was basking in the glory nearby. Elder Lin. Huang Pu Qingyun smiled. Lin Ziqian rushed next to him. Yes. The moment the kid loses, rush over and take his head. Understand? Startled, Lin Ziqian said, Why me? Isn't Elder Yin supposed to do this? Squinting, Huang Pu Qingyun snorted. If he were to move, Qingcheng would be sure to block him. I do not wish to further alienate her from me. Your Mary Woods is focusing on speed, so taking the kid's head in an instant is easy. Qingcheng would be enraged, but would not dare to make everything worse over a dead man. Realizing what he meant, Lin Ziqian gave a thumbs up. Nice, second young master is truly wise. The other men felt their stomachs churning as they secretly cursed him for being shameless. Huang Pu Qingyun's smile seemed to say everything was dancing in his palm, but just then, the crowd froze in shock seeing Vicious Pill King's flame swayed around Zhuo as he laughed. Ha ha ha, brat. Now you know why I told you to go first? Even if you have a beast flame, it won't do you any good with my bone soul, true fire out. Didn't you want to get your hands on the Bodhi root? Zhuo Fan was still calm, taking a deep breath. Vicious Pill King seemed to recall something and laughed. Yes, I indeed want it. But what I want more is to win against you fair and square. To see who among us shall be the best alchemist in Tianyu. Defeating you because of the flame's power is not something I will ever accept. Zhuo Fan looked long at him. He may be shameless and despicable, cunning and vicious, but when all is said and done, he is a tough grandmaster alchemist. It's kind of a pity for him to be in the Pill King Hall. Chapter 149, The Monarchic Azure Flame. Chapter 149, The Monarchic Azure Flame. A wicked grin plastered on his face. Zhuo Fan seemed to have something special in store. Yin Fu's heart seized. He understood his master's intention and wanted to advise against it. But Vicious Pill King shook his hand. Did the old fart turn senile? Huang Pu Qingyun sensed the situation spiraling into an undesirable direction and clenched his fists. Lin Ziqian wiped the cold sweat from his brows. His mind was on edge. Old coot, you're vile and wicked. So why the hell are you doing the exact opposite at a crucial time like this? Cut the righteous act. Both our lives are at stake here. Catching the Eastern Stand's people's reaction with a side glance, Zhuo Fan swiveled his eyes on Vicious Pill King. Old man, I appreciate the thought, but there really is no need for that. It's best you go ahead and refine. Vicious Pill King stared at Zhuo Fan in astonishment. Zhuo Fan's words were backed by unfaltering confidence. He did not propose to do it together and see who was stronger, but directly urged Yin Song to go fist. Does he have an even stronger flame than Bone Soul True Fire? He fears that his flame will affect my own. Vicious Pill King's heart trembled. but he couldn't find it in himself to believe that the world could house a stronger flame than the heaven and earth spirit flame. Ha ha ha. Youngster, don't brag. Taking your age and background into account, the most you can afford is a 4th level beast flame. You think it's enough to stand toe to toe with mine? Vicious Pill King was probing Juefan, who only smiled. Such action only made Juefan look more mysterious, that even the rest were at a loss for words. You're telling us that Grandmaster Song has a mystical flame that can stand against your bone soul, true fire? This would make the final round more exciting. 2 Grandmasters, 2 heaven and earth spirit flames, fighting toe to toe for the crown. In a blink, the crowd's nervous eyes landed on Juefan, eagerly awaiting his answer. Chu Qingsheng and the overseers were especially nervous in terms of refining skills. Juefan was a cut above Yin Song. Coupled with a possible heaven and earth spirit flame, this could all work to compensate for his weak cultivation. Only Xie Tianyang felt disdain as he laughed. Don't go and believe his hosh-posh people. That brat is up to his neck in faking again. He is in a battle of minds with the old man. I've seen this trick too many times to count. Long Jio and the rest nodded with how deep and twisted the kid's plans went. It was very much plausible to be a tactic of his to unnerve Yin Song. Today's events proved it. Yin Song himself suffered at Juefan's schemes again and again, making him grow cautious. After some careful thought, he laughed. Kid, I'm frank with you, but yet you still use such petty tricks to mess with my head. The same tactic won't work on me again. What makes you think I am? Juefan raised an eyebrow. Humph, by no means do you have a heaven and earth spirit flame, perhaps not even a beast flame. You're only pretending so as to disturb my mind. You used these cheap tricks in the previous 2 rounds already, and you want to do it again? Shaking his head, Juefan sighed. Vicious Pill King, you have such a low opinion of me. You take yours truly as nothing but a vicious and petty schemer whose plans only amount to lying about having a heaven and earth spirit flame to mess with your head. Is that what you think my plans amount to? I'm hurt. Pausing, Vicious Pill King realized it was indeed so. Juefan may have sneezed and farted, nothing but petty tricks, but it hit right when it hurt him the most. Each and every time his focus crumbled at the most crucial moment. If his mind was not as strong, he would have long devolved into chaos. Unable to continue refining compared to the last 2 times, Juefan's words now were a bit disbelieving, but not enough to affect his mind. This only threw Vicious Pill King into even deeper confusion in his eyes. Juefan had become an enigma, whose every gesture and random act were filled with intricate mysteries. Never had he encountered such a baffling opponent in his life. Damn it, who'd have thought picking a fight with this punk would end up becoming a torment? Vicious Pill King couldn't come to a conclusion even after some long and hard thinking. He just gnashed his teeth in the end and howled, Brat, no matter what flame you have, take it out. I want to have a fair match with you, so stop jumping at every shadow. It is because I have the same wish that I do not want to reveal it. I still insist on letting you go first. Juefan sneered. If I do take it out, you might lose your desire to even compete. Starting together would end in your loss, no doubt about it. His words sounded even more cocksure than Vicious Pill King's from before. They were so outrageous that none of the people there believed him. A flame that can cow the best alchemist in the Empire to surrender just at the sight of it. Does it even exist? Not even Vicious Pill King was that outrageous before pulling out his white flame. Dude, take a closer look. He holds the Lord of the Flames, a heaven and earth spirit flame. Even if you have the same kind of fire, it will only result in a tie. Even if by some off chance it is stronger, how much could it actually be compared to Yin Song's? You're saying your flame is so freakish that it can suppress a heaven and earth spirit flame, just as the latter suppresses beast flames? Did the world even have such a thing? Humph! He's clearly faking and bragging, yet none of his words sound believable. Xie Tianyang mocked. Vicious Pill King laughed. Kid, you take me for a 3-year-old? The world does not have such a savage flame. If you can take it out, then I will directly kowtow. 3. Suddenly, his voice was choked with the appearance of an azure flame above two of Zhuo Fan's fingers. It was as calm as candlelight, unimpressive in the slightest, but this plain azure flame descended on the world like a monarch. Its invisible pressure befell like a mountain. The cackling bone soul, true fire, now seemed to have found its nemesis and scurried back into Vicious Pill King's body, never to come out again, not even at Vicious Pill King's incessant urgings. If a heaven and earth spirit flame was so decisive, then Lu Yizhen's, Yin Fu's, and Tao Danyang's beast flames were even worse. They had no spirituality, but they nonetheless trembled under the azure fire's pressure and died out when a monarch of flames descended. No common flame dared to burn. All the fires died out in a blink. Even the other alchemists, only Zhuo Fan's frail azure flame let out a soft glow. The shock was incomprehensible. Even Vicious Pill King stared slack-jawed. What is this? The heaven and earth spirit flame ran? Vicious Pill King's body was swaying. He was the owner of Bone Soul True Fire and could feel it shivering in fear. What flame is that? Zhuo Fan looked at his azure flame with a smile. Who knows? It's been given to me anyway. His cheeks twitching, Vicious Pill King trembled. Why is it that I wasn't lucky enough to have someone give me such a strong flame? When he chanced upon the Bone Soul True Fire, he'd been so thrilled he couldn't sleep a wink for how much fortune smiled upon him. He could have died happy. But here now, in Zhuo Fan's presence, his bit of luck was lackluster, to say the least. Now, do you still want to refine? Zhuo Fan snickered, letting the azure flame sway in front of him. Vicious Pill King's eyes reddened from envy. How the hell could he still refine? His entire mind was set on that frail flame. He was almost consumed by the desire to just seize it. Zhuo Fan laughed, knowing perfectly well what Yin Song was thinking. Now, do you believe me? Well then, Vicious Pill King, let me ask you, who's the petty one? Vicious Pill King felt like crying. God damn it. This punk is unfathomable. 3 rounds ago, he spoke not a grain of truth. And now he said the most unbelievable things, yet it turns out to be the whole and unfurnished truth. Curses! His plots are too sinister for me to unravel. Despite being filled with regret, Vicious Pill King still reddened as he admitted, Pardon me, Grandmaster Song. I have wrongly mistaken a gentleman for being petty. Lighten up. It's enough to know that I'm a perfect gentleman. Zhuo Fan laughed, and not only made the old man redden harder from shame, but even flaunted. Then, want to go ahead and refine? Or maybe together? You joking? Refine with you? How? When any and all flames were snuffed because of yours. I get why this punk said there was no competition if both refined together. Vicious Pill King sighed and admitted it despite the humiliation it brought. Pardons, Grandmaster Song. I was overconfident. I shall go ahead and refine first. All right, with my generous nature, I shall let you begin. Zhuo Fan smiled and took back his azure flame while crossing his arms. Even so, he couldn't help himself from muttering, Stingy, how unreasonable. His voice may have been soft, but all heard him. Vicious Pill King staggered. He was truly pissed, but felt more aggrieved than anything else. I rarely want a fair fight, and what do I get? Humiliation. Being good is not all that cracked up to be. He was oblivious, though, that as he was feeling sorry for himself. Zhuo Fan nodded in his mind, and his mouth widened into a broad and satisfied smile. Chapter 150, Authority. Chapter 150, Authority. Holy cow, he wasn't faking. The brat did have a card up his sleeve. On the terrace, Xie Tianyang stumbled. Then it hit him, right? He used the same azure flame against Yu Giki too. I took it as some martial art at the time, but now I see that it's actually a heaven and earth treasure. It all made sense now. How he faced Hell Valley's profound, ranked martial art and easily overcame the azure flame, could easily handle a heaven and earth spirit flame, so it was only natural to be able to deal with Yu Giki's wicked skill. Xie Tianyang found himself looking at Long Jio. This brat has so much stuff on him that makes him a walking treasury. Are you sure he's only a third-rate clan kid? Why are you looking at me for? I'm as clueless as you are. Long Jio snorted, then kept watching. Zhuo Fan Veiled Dragon Pavilion had looked again and again into Zhuo Fan's history, but they always came at the same answer. A servant that never left the Luo clan, yet the night of the Luo clan's demise marked his complete change. A mere servant took the four-membered Luo clan and pulled it through the crisis. Along the path of remarkable wisdom and deep schemes, he changed the fate of the Luo clan, turning it into a future opponent for the seven noble houses. Veiled Dragon Pavilion weren't fools, of course, especially Long Jio. Their new hatred for Hell Valley was all because Zhuo Fan instigated it yet. Even so, they were willing to take this burden for him first. Just as Zhuo Fan predicted, Veiled Dragon Pavilion was not about to show weakness before their archenemy, Hell Valley. With how deep their hatred was, adding one more debt was of little concern, not to mention, in the great battle of Wind Gay City, making them carry the killing of those two elders was in fact a favor. Even when he was summoned by the Emperor, the Pavilion Lord was grinning from ear to ear. It had been years since Pavilion Lord was this excited, and secondly, Zhuo Fan's power shocked every one of them to the marrow. Even Veiled Dragon Pavilion's highly ranked men started discussing with Zhuo Fan when he was but a chi condensation cultivator. None of them could have come with a more perfect plan than his sowing dissension, escaping, bidding his time to land the final blow. It all may have seemed simple tactics, but their execution would have been far from as this was something easily understood by reading the two houses' millennia-long feud. Moreover, Zhuo Fan was very skilled. Not only he could set up a fifth-grade array, but he also had many long-lost ancient arrays after so many miracles. Pavilion Lord's quick decision to cooperate with Zhuo Fan was met with no objection. And that was only because this kid's actions left everyone unable to unravel his true purpose. From the looks of it, Zhuo Fan's change seemed to have started from that fateful night before it. He was just an honest-to-God and shy servant. After it, he changed into the sinister and cunning steward that none in the seven houses could compare with. That night was the crux. But what had happened that night? Taking a deep breath, Long Jio was filled with confusion, trying to pick some hints by looking at the smug figure, only to sigh in the end. He may very well be the only one who knows the answer to this riddle. Totally oblivious of Long Jio Group's comments, the overseers had long been skipping in joy at seeing Vicious Pill King taken down a peg. Again, just like some 16-year-old girls, blushing to the ears. This was the finals after all. Pushing the old man back would help in increasing his chance of winning. At Xiao Dandan had never seen her senior aunt and master so happy in her life. She knew they were happy, and so was she, raising her pretty face in pride, as if to tell the world, "Here comes my man." As Chu Qingchang saw that figure growing in authority, her heart grew with love, though still reserved enough not to be so frank about it as Xiao Dandan. But her eyes couldn't hide the warmth and feeling she had for him. On the eastern stand, Huangpu Qingyun's elegant visage was now twisted in rage. Even the most oblivious of his men could see he was best left alone if they valued their life. But did that mean he wouldn't come to you by himself? Elder Lin. Huangpu Qingyun squinted and snapped. Lin Zetian shivered and stood at attention, though his heart was on the verge of crying. Second young master, orders? Didn't you promise me that the old fool will win? Well, where's his win? He quoted fairness and offered to let the punk refine first, only to be shamed further. What fairness? He wouldn't have brought more shame on himself if someone else did that to him. Second young master, Elder Yin isn't the only one at fault. Lin Zetian spoke over Huangpu Qingyun to curb his anger, or he would have been sent into the fray sooner than needed. At that time, that bastard Vicious Pill King would have been long gone, and he unable to deal with the kid alone. To safeguard his life, he had to speak up. He continued anxiously. Second young master, you saw it too. It's not Elder Yin who is powerless, but that punk is just too freakish. Lin Zetian stammered for a long time before coming with an apt description. The heaven and earth spirit flame is the lord of the flames. But who saw it coming that the brat would pull an even more freakish flame, rendering the lord of the flames inferior? None of us did. Huangpu Qingyun rose his hand at first, but soon put it down. He had calmed down somewhat after those words. though his calmness was one that inspired fear. He looked at Zhuo Fan. Indeed, this is not on Elder Yin, but all because that brat is too strong. This was the first time Huang Pu, Qingyun admitted Zhuo Fan's strength. His men trembled. Their second young master was a man of immense pride who never acknowledged anyone. Yet here, he was praising someone for their strength, and was also quite sincere at it perhaps. Huang Pu Qingyun's anger wasn't because of Yin Song's setback, but his unwillingness to admit someone could have the same authority as him. This was something a proud and domineering man like himself would never allow to happen therefore. They all looked at Zhuo Fan as if he was already dead, and sure enough, Huang Pu Qingyun followed with, "Elder Lin, there's no need to act anymore. I will kill that brat myself." Then what of Edifice Lord Chu? Huang Pu Qingyun's eyes flashed with naked killing intent. "I want to avoid fighting with Qin Sheng, but I can never find peace until I kill the kid myself." His men's hearts shivered as they nodded whoosh. Vicious Pill King let out his white flame again, and Xiaoyu rushed to stop him. "Forgive me, Elder Yin, but because of your flame and the beast flames, the other alchemists can't refine. So, to give a fair judgment, I can only ask all of you to refine one at a time, from weak to strong." You want me to give way to them?" Vicious Pill King snored. "Why should I? It won't matter even if my flame doesn't affect them. They don't rise to even one hair of mine. Giving way to them means wasting my time." Tao Danyang grew angry and glared at him. Yin Fu snickered at the side, finding it only natural his master was the best in the empire, except the unknown kid that sprung up from who knew where. Who else could match his master? The alchemists, Liu Yijin included, were livid, but facts were facts. They had no ways to refute Vicious Pill King, and could only sigh. Xiaoyu found herself in a tight spot. What was planned to be the finals between 10 people now became a clash of 2. Were the other 8 alchemists mere decorations to make them look good? What was the point of getting this far then? Too bad Vicious Pill King was the best alchemist in the empire and was dead set on his decision. The judge could do nothing in Xiaoyu's moment of anxiety and stomping. A lazy voice echoed. "Old man, since it's a competition, give them a chance. Why do you have to be so hard?" This startled everyone, and turned to see Zhuo Fan still with his arms crossed and eyes closed, but smiling nonetheless, frowning. Vicious Pill King muttered, then withdrew his flame. Those alchemists who had it rough with just their Yuan Qi flames were overjoyed, while the others looked at Vicious Pill King dumbfounded. Even Yin Fu looked at Vicious Pill King, as if he wasn't his master since when did his prideful master secede, just like that, because someone said so? This is mortifying. But the fact was, one word from Zhuo Fan was enough to make the grand and arrogant Vicious Pill King renounce his pride. What's going on? Did the old man get a personality change? Up in the eastern stand, Hell Valley's 5th elder was filled with puzzlement like everyone else. What they didn't notice, however, was Huang Pu Qingyun's even thicker killing intent. Perhaps he was the sole person here who understood authority. It was what made others submit completely. He wielded the same authority, an obvious fact from the people around him that listened to his orders without question. But this authority was bestowed by Regent Estate. As these men submitted to Regent Estate's power, he could only thus order them more clearly stated. They spoke yes while their hearts were against it. Only Huang Pu Qingyun understood that Zhuo Fan had become the man with the most authority here, and his authority was based on the true submission of everyone present. Vicious Pill King was the perfect example. Seceding with just some words, it was all because from the very beginning he grasped everyone's hearts, letting them take one step at a time and growing their faith in him. This was the true way of the ruling class in seizing authority. At first, Huang Pu Qingyun's killing intent at Zhuo Fan was rather hazy. He guessed it was because of a conflict of interest, but now he clearly wanted Zhuo Fan dead. After Lin Zitian spoke and Zhuo Fan showed a monarchic flame, he understood perfectly why Zhuo Fan had to die. He wasn't as narrow-minded as others thought him to be, that he couldn't stand someone more powerful than him. His decision to kill Zhuo Fan was because of the feeling he got from the latter. Every time Zhuo Fan did something, it was like an open challenge to his authority. How could a regent's authority be so easily challenged? A mountain wasn't big enough for 2 tigers. With two people knowing the way to grasp the hearts of the people, they would fight over authority, and only one would come out victorious. Shuafan had long noticed the killing intent coming from the eastern stand, but he was unfazed as ever, even sporting a scornful grin. Chapter 151, Clinging. Chapter 151, Clinging. Going with Xiao Ye's proposal, the first to start were the 5 grandmasters who used Yuan Qi flames. They hastily took out their flames and gave a sign of gratitude at the other grandmasters, although they were ranked among the best alchemists in Tianyu Empire. Zhuofan showed up with his heaven-defying refining skill that made them look as common as muck. This was clearly showed through the yawns of the crowd. Their refining resulted in 3 high and 2 mid-5th grade pills. Not one could go higher than 5th grade. The third round had such a grade as the target. Showing it now, in the finals, robbed them of any chance at getting the first place. They knew of their limits, but chose to do it anyway, so they could catch the eyes of some powerful clans grinning. Yin Fu patronized, Master was right after all. Letting those idiots go first was a total waste of time. He threw Lu Yizhen a side glance and sneered. Lu, old man, weren't you bragging about using your 4th level beast flame to freaking press us all down into making a 5th grade pill? I have no intention to be Pill King. Just getting ahead of a twerp like you and washing away the disgrace is enough. Lu Yizhen said as he caressed his beard. Yin Fu seemed to have heard the biggest joke ever. Ha ha ha. Old man, losing is losing. What are you doing tacking that cocky tone? Not to mention, my beast flame is stronger than yours. And you still think of besting me? Umph. Alchemy isn't based on flame alone. Last time I lost in terms of speed, but when it comes to refining abilities, I am above you, twerp. Lu Yizhen's hand burned with his beast flame as he threw in all kinds of ingredients. Yin Fu had a constant sneer on his face as his seconds trickled by. The scarlet flame blazed constantly, illuminating Lu Yizhen's hard red face. Suddenly, Lu Yizhen spat a blood arrow into the flame. The fire exploded, and a scarlet pill twirled in the air before he caught it. Lu Yizhen ignored the blood on his mouth as he gasped. He glowered at Yin Fu and revealed a crazy smile as he showed the pill. Brat, tell me, what grade is this? Yin Fu stared at the old man and gnashed his teeth in reply. But Xiaoyi yelped. Grandmaster Lu refined a high 6th grade pill. Say what? The audience was in an uproar. Grandmaster Lu was a 5th grade alchemist, but he actually managed to refine a 6th grade pill. This was something not even a fresh 6th grade alchemist could pull off. Was it really all because of the 4th level beast flame? Could it be? Whoosh. Yin Fu cut their second guessing short by letting his blue flame out. The raging tongue of flame shined in his pair of eyes, as if they themselves contained a deep fire within. Whoosh. Ingredients flew into it one after another, refining and mixing. He did it with such practiced ease that it looked no different than eating, earning no few praises. Zhuofan was too awesome earlier, so Lu Yizhen and Yin Fu's limelight got smothered. People now bore witness to a youth who, while not as freakish as Zhuofan, was by all intents and purposes a genius of alchemy. He was indeed an expert alchemist hailing from Pill King Hall. Suddenly, Yin Fu also bit his tongue and spat blood essence. It fused with the blue flame. In a blink, Lu Yizhen's pupils contracted as his weak body trembled. His lips parted, but no words could come out from the sheer shock that grasped his mind. Whoosh. The fire vanished and a bluish pill shined. He grabbed it and showed it to Lu Yizhen. Yin Fu was pale and blood dripped from his mouth, painting a gruesome image when coupled with his smile. Old man, tell me, what grade is this? Looking closely, Lu Yizhen shook his head sullenly. He was now too dejected to even reply. Yin Fu let out an unrestrained laughter. Xiao, you flicked closer and looked in shock. Young Master, Yin Fu refined a low 7th grade pill. What? The audience exploded. There was now another 7th grade alchemist in the Pill King Hall, besides Vicious Pill King, and one so young at that. At the side, Tao Danyang couldn't help sucking her teeth. They're both insane. They have no shot at becoming the Pill King with Vicious Pill King around, so why still refine with blood essence? Is their grudge so deep to warrant such a logical action? Losing a drop of blood essence meant an injured vitality that could persist through years. If one was careless in their recovery, it could lead to permanent damage. Worse would be stunted cultivation, and alchemists would never use such a method unless the situation was dire. Vicious Pill King did it to barely qualify. You too, however, the hell you just up and harmed yourself for some simple refining? Tao Danyang cursed him inside, but was in fact hesitating. She was a 6th grade alchemist who should have had no problem with these two. But God knew what got into them, using their blood essence to refine. Yin Fu even managed to land a 7th grade pill. If she too didn't bleed, Yin Fu would win. What goddamn face will I have left then? Gnashing her teeth and stomping, Tao Danyang's eyes flashed with resolve, and the green flame appeared in her hand. I've been at this even before you were born. You think I have lost my touch? Ingredients spiraled inside the flame. When it was almost done, she also bit her tongue and spat a blood arrow. When the flame died out, Tao Danyang's weak body reached for the pill with a gleeful smile. Heavens! It's a mid-7th grade pill. Xiaoya's outcry agitated the crowd. Only Yin Fu and Lu Yizhen looked at her puzzled. Old hag, we decided on settling our accounts from the Imperial Capital Alchemy competition. So what are you trying to pull? Ugh! Tao Danyang almost spat blood in anger. But seeing the two of them confused, her face went red and tried to cover it with a snort. I'll have you know that there's a mountain beyond a mountain, as there's someone above another. You two have a long way to go. Don't let yourself caught up in thinking only you two exist in this contest. You need to set your eyes further into the distance. There are many adversaries ahead. Tao Danyang sighed, and through this lesson, she recovered her bearing, but the two weren't grateful in the least. Old hag, we focused on each other because we wished to settle a score. How does this have anything to do with you? Yin Fu raised an eyebrow and spoke vaguely. You think we don't know of mountains beyond mountains, and someone above another? Aren't they clearly master in that brat? What's the point of even saying it? Lu Yizhen nodded in full accord. These two are prime examples. What are you trying to teach us? Tao Danyang sank into silence. Lost for words, seeing the two of them sporting wise gazes, she was itching to kick them. You think I'd waste blood essence to uphold my reputation if it weren't for you two morons doing it first in your dumb fight? I wanted out of this awkward situation with my name intact, but you bastards aren't even giving me that. Speaking of which, I can expect it from this prick, Yin Fu, since he's from Pill King Hall. But what of you, Lu Yizhen? So old, and you don't know how to show some respect? Tao Danyang gnashed her teeth in rage, but no one cared about her at this moment. All eyes were on Vicious Pill King. Despite this round being a showdown between 10 contestants, it was in fact between only 2 squinting. Vicious Pill King stared hard at Zhuo Fanwush. With an evil laughter, the bone soul, true fire, re-emerged. He was in no hurry to throw ingredients in. Choosing to spit blood essence again, master, no. Yin Fu cried. Vicious Pill King already did this in the 3rd round, harming himself. If he did it again, then he would be left with scarring injury, or worse, die from severe trauma. But Vicious Pill King no longer cared. How often did he meet a real opponent? To defeat Zhuo Fan, his greatest adversary, he was willing to do everything he could, even pay with his life. Vicious Pill King then threw ingredients in the flame, getting it refined in an instant in the bone soul true fire, mixing along with his blood essence. Suddenly, Vicious Pill King spat blood essence again. This shocked even Tao Danyang. Has the old man lost it? It may increase the pill's grade greatly, but it will also threaten his life. Vicious Pill King hardly cared. His eyes filled with endless madness. Yin Fu felt his knees, with tears streaming down his cheeks. Master, what happened to you? Whoosh! Only now did the ever-relaxed Zhuo Fan open his eyes, watching Vicious Pill King with an even gaze, but noticing Zhuo Fan watching him, it got Vicious Pill King even more excited. Chapter 152, Cradle Returning Dragons. Chapter 152, Cradle Returning Dragons. Whoosh! The raging flame made a clear contrast with Vicious Pill King's wan face. The once imposing and tough old man now appeared frail and with one foot in the grave. His body swayed in the breeze, a moment away from collapsing, but he clenched his teeth and persevered. He grinned at Fan, who was looking back at him, with excitement as if to challenge Fan. Vicious Pill King's gestures changed, and the flame soared, losing blood essence 3 times in a day, along with supplying so much yuan qi had taken its toll on his aged body. Sweat began to fall from not just his face as his hands grew paler and seemed to age with the naked eye, but his eyes danced in joy as he saw the pill slowly form within the flame. His behavior even stirred the sympathy of those who hated him to the core, including Chu Qingsheng and the overseers. Vicious Pill King is vile and twisted, but one had to admit his alchemy skill is worthy of admiration. He lives up to his name as the first alchemist in the empire. Long Jiu sighed and praised, the others nodded, watching Vicious Pill King with the same feelings despite being on opposite sides. A hero was worthy of respect. Bone Soul True Fire was indeed a heaven and earth spirit flame. And in the expert hands of Vicious Pill King, the pill was completed in no time at all. The pill was ready to be taken out of the inferno, but right at this moment, Vicious Pill King spat more blood essence. Everyone was nervous when it entered the fire. A humming spread, and the Bone Soul True Fire burned hotter at the same time. A pill shined brightly and flew out of the fire with a cackle. The sound of the laughter was in fact the same as Bone Soul True Fire's. Vicious Pill King bestowed the pill with spirituality. Long Jiu sighed in amazement. The others looked on in shock at the incredible dancing pill. It was a known fact that a heaven and earth spirit flame could instill spirituality into a pill, but doing it was a whole another matter. In Qianyu Empire's 1,000-year-old history, there have been accounts of alchemists possessing a heaven and earth spirit flame, but none of them were able to refine a living pill. This rumor came from outside the borders. But for such an alchemist to appear even after such a long time, it was still rarer than rare. The entire continent might not have had such a genius appearing over the last half millennia, but Vicious Pill King had done it. Fan, with his dazzling performance, had made the people neglect this #1 alchemist in the empire. But now he used his power to prove he was still the best. With a gesture, the pill entered his hand, and Vicious Pill King's hair started swirling the air. He slowly raised the pill in Fan's direction, his eyes recovering their pride and arrogance. He was weakened, but let the people see this old man teetering towards collapse like a lofty giantess. Xiaoya opened and closed her mouth, speechless. In the end, she finally managed to express her doubt. Odd, the pill looks to be above the 7th grade, but not quite in the 8th. What does it mean? Squinting, Vicious Pill King didn't respond, only stared rivetingly at Fan. It was an open provocation. Chuckling, Fan said, "It is without a doubt a 7th grade pill, albeit a perfect one. If you insist on defining it, you can call it a grade skipping pill. But it is in fact this kind of pill the hardest to refine in one's alchemical journey. It may be a 7th grade pill, but its worth supersedes a common 8th grade pill." The crowd was in complete shock. This was their first time hearing of a 7th grade pill that exceeded an 8th grade pill. Even some low-grade alchemists were dumbstruck, though the 5th grade alchemists and above were fully aware of the reason. There were, in fact, some alchemists who had a 100% chance of refining 5th grade pills that could touch upon how to reach the perfect quality. But never, even after they entered the 6th grade, had they achieved it. Thus, 6th grade pills were easy to refine, while perfect 5th grade pills were nigh impossible to them. Refining a grade-surpassing pill was a talent among talents. Talent was already needed to become a high-grade alchemist, but for refining a perfect pill, one had to be a genius. It was clear Vicious Pill King was such a man in an instant. The people's image of Vicious Pill King grew exponentially. Vicious Pill King, however, didn't care about such things. His eyes were on one man only. That man was the sole person qualified to make him stake his life in this competition. Following his eyes, the crowd's sight landed on Fan. They now knew why Vicious Pill King went all out in this refining, even risking his life to make a perfect pill. It was all to beat the strongest opponent he ever had. They were all watching Fan, eager to see his reaction. A clash between heavyweights, a match among peak grandmaster alchemists, was a rare occurrence. After today, none may get the chance to see another again. This only worked to raise their spirits higher. Taking a deep breath, Juefan began pondering. None disturbed him either in the deafening silence that ensued. Yet the people's eyes were fixed on Juefan, not leaving him for even a blink. With gloom ever present on his face, Huangpu Qingyun's killing intent only grew. The more Juefan could grasp the hearts of the people, the more threatened he felt of his authority. He was certain of one thing: Juefan had to be dealt with. Long Zhou's group frowned, waiting for Juefan's next move. Chu Qingxing and the overseers watched on edge. The strangest thing that happened was Chu Qingxing no longer cared about the prevalent grudge between Pill King Hall and Drifting Flowers Edifice. Her mind was solely preoccupied with Juefan, of how he would respond to vicious Pill King in this tense atmosphere. Even the crowd forgot this was an alchemy contest, only caring about the match between two peak Grandmaster alchemists. It mattered not who won, because they were waiting for the two of them to give them the shock of their lives. After a moment of deep thought, Juefan let out a long breath, and his face revealed a mysterious grin. So that's how it is. Let's give it a try. Chuckling, he turned to vicious Pill King. Any man who spat blood essence 5 times is bound to die. Old man, you did it 4 times today, which was quite impressive. If I don't get it together and show something special, I would only be insulting you. You are correct. Vicious Pill King grinned fearlessly and as excited as before. There was nothing more thrilling than seeing one's greatest opponent answering his challenge by going all out. Juefan noticed his excitement and chuckled as he walked next to his cauldron with him moving. So did the countless pairs of eyes. Juefan was now the center of attention, the life of the party. His every gesture stirring the hearts of many. Russell. He leisurely lit up the fire and snapped his finger. Tins of spirit stones revolve around the cauldron before falling into an intricate and bizarre shape. The people looked at each other dumbly. What is Grandmaster Song doing? Setting an array? What did that have to do with alchemy? Even vicious Pill King, as well as the rest of the alchemists, were clueless of his intention. Since time immemorial, alchemy and arrays never intersected. What was his purpose? Ignoring the baffled audience, Juefan's hand made a sign and chanted, "Heaven's gate, earth's locks, open for me. Let thy spiritual energy flood this array. Assist my heavenly fire in opening its eyes. Let spirits and dragons enter this pill." The world quaked, and with it, the Drifting Flowers arena started to rumble. Everyone was rattled. Not knowing what was happening right then, creepy laughter echoed as dark shadows from all directions flew toward Juefan and revolved above his head. Then they slammed into the core of the array at the same time. Dragon roars echoed, and dragon images flew from the core of the array onto the gobsmacked faces of everyone. When the world stopped shaking, the shadows were gone, and the sky was crowded by 9 dragon images. Juefan snapped his finger and threw an azure flame into the cauldron. The dragons seemed elated as they flew around agog before slamming inside the cauldron. In a blink, a deeper dragon roar was heard, and an azure fire dragon burst out of the cauldron. It was then followed by the other 8. The azure fire inside the cauldron was now gone. Absorbed by the dragons with his eyes flashing, Juefan grinned as his hands danced. Hundreds of ingredients took to the sky at that moment. Secret pill array, cradle returning dragons. Juefan shouted, and the 9 fire dragons responded with a roar before flying into the ingredients floating about. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.